name is Peter Parker, and I am Spider-Man.
For a longtime fan, we can honestly say that while Ultimate Spider-Man might not reach the heights of Spectacular Spider-Man, it adds elements that the Spectacular missed. The show offers a more comedic take, staying true to Spider-Man's personality with plenty of fourth-wall jokes and humor. Despite some weak scripting at times, it introduces new heroes and villains like White Tiger, Nova, Iron Fist, Power Man, Taskmaster, the Frightful Four, and Zzax. The animation is superior and features more Marvel heroes,
It's Ultimate Deadpool! Yeah!
reflecting the comics where other heroes often appear. If you can get past the silly jokes and cutaways, Ultimate Spider-Man is incredibly entertaining. However, before we begin, let's take a look at some background for better understanding of the story. Peter Parker has been Spider-Man for 1 year. He has saved lives and fought supervillains, but he is still learning how to be a superhero. Much to his surprise, Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. offers Peter the chance to train and become the Ultimate Spider-Man. However, Peter must first learn to work with a team of 4 fellow teenage superheroes: Nova, White Tiger, Iron Fist, and Power Man. With that, let's get right into it. Season 1. In Times Square, J.J. Jameson calls for Spider-Man's arrest while Spider-Man swings through the city and saves a police officer from a crash with his web. The officer thanks him and Spider-Man encounters Trapster, an old enemy.
Oh, great. The Trapster.
Breaking the fourth wall, Spider-Man recounts their past clashes and labels Trapster more of a cheap pickpocket than a supervillain. Trapster uses his glue pistol, but Spider-Man counters and creates an explosion that leaves Trapster glued and defeated. After the battle, Nick Fury approaches from the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier,
Nick Fury, Director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
scolding Spider-Man for collateral damage and mentioning Captain America's efficiency. Fury reveals he knows Spider-Man's identity and recalls Uncle Ben's advice about responsibility. Fury wants Spider-Man to become the Ultimate Spider-Man, and demonstrates his point by effortlessly arresting Trapster again. Spider-Man swings away, but Norman Osborn, watching through a camera, plans to use him to create super soldiers with Dr. Octavius, stating,
I'll inform our remaining allies to begin Phase 2.
At Midtown High, Peter meets his best friend Mary Jane Watson,
Sure.
I hate to lie to MJ.
Mistake!
who is unaware of his secret and wants to work for Jameson. However, Peter lies about being late. Afterwards, Harry Osborn shows up and reminds Peter of their first meeting, and Harry's father, Norman.
Meet Harry Osborn. Rich, he's handsome.
Dad, this is the kid I told you about. The one who's always getting beaten up?
Flash Thompson, Peter's childhood bully, stuffs him in a locker,
That Sasquatch loping toward me is our Flash Thompson.
Catch you next fall!
but he is released by Stan the janitor. In the cafeteria, Peter's spider sense tingles, and he saves MJ and Harry from a collapsing wall. The Frightful Four, the Wizard, Claw, and Thundra, minus the Trapster, threaten to destroy the school if Spider-Man doesn't appear. Wizard mentions Trapster's tracer on Spider-Man, but Peter starts a food fight, changes into Spider-Man, and joins the battle. Wizard informs Osborn they found Spider-Man while Claw targets MJ, but Harry saves her and gets hit. Spider-Man kicks Wizard into the corridor, where Flash, a fan, offers help. Spider-Man tells Flash to hide in a locker to surprise the villains. Spider-Man hides in the vents, but the villains flee upon hearing sirens. As Peter, he watches Harry being taken to the hospital. At Aunt May's house, Peter recounts the events and realizes he needs to accept Fury's offer. At night, Spider-Man arrives at the helicarrier, disables security systems, and is surrounded by guns. Fury deactivates them, and Peter declares,
Ultimate Spider-Man reporting for duty, sir!
Fury welcomes him to S.H.I.E.L.D. On S.H.I.E.L.D.'s helicarrier, Spider-Man trains with robot soldiers,
I'm gonna land on the superhero wall of shame for dying 10 minutes after joining S.H.I.E.L.D.
I really thought he'd make it.
while Nick Fury watches, amused. Iron Fist and Power Man are hopeful about Spider-Man, but Nova and White Tiger are doubtful. After Spider-Man defeats the robots, Fury gives him a parachute test, and Spider-Man uses a web parachute to save himself. The next morning, Peter visits Harry in the hospital and leaves him homework. At Midtown, Mary Jane puts up signs asking Spider-Man for an interview, thinking he could be anyone. Later, Spider-Man visits S.H.I.E.L.D. and meets Dr. Kurt Connors, who shows him some tech based on his powers. Agent Phil Coulson, however, is suspicious of Spider-Man, and Fury stresses the importance of responsibility. Spider-Man tries out a new motorcycle but quickly loses control and falls off the helicarrier. Fury guides him through using the motorcycle's web shooters, and Spider-Man manages to save himself. He tests the bike around New York, almost crashing into a gasoline truck before Nova intervenes. On the ground, the four heroes introduce themselves.
And I've already met Captain Buckethead. Name's Nova, creep. Nova, creep. Catchy.
Spider-Man talks to Agent Coulson about his reluctance to join the team, but Fury insists he has potential and wants him to stay. Spider-Man decides to quit anyway, and later, he's ambushed and captured by the Frightful Four. Pretending to be unconscious, he attacks when the Wizard mentions a client. Power Man, White Tiger, Nova, and Iron Fist arrive and defeat the villains. Back at the helicarrier, Spider-Man rejoins S.H.I.E.L.D., but prefers to work alone most of the time.
Done.
The next day at Midtown High, Power Man locks up Flash Thompson and announces that he and the other heroes will be attending the school. Peter discovers that Agent Coulson is the new principal and meets his new classmates.
No, please. Maybe yes.
Peter is in Midtown, doing a recap about his recent life when he sees Sam Alexander, also known as Nova, in his table with Harry and Mary Jane. He forces Sam to go to talk in the hallway, where Peter discusses with him about having his Peter Parker life separated from Spider-Man's. When they're about to fight, Coulson sends them to detention. There, Peter realizes it was a trick to gather the S.H.I.E.L.D. trainees using special chairs. Coulson sends them to the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, and Fury puts them to a test to battle giant robots. Spider-Man and Nova compete for who destroys more drones, but they draw. Fury, who previously said they had to pass across the room without destroying anything, makes them clean their mess. After they finish, Spider-Man shows off how many villains he has defeated, giving White Tiger an idea to prove themselves to Fury, catching one of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s most wanted. After searching the list, Nova decides they'll take down Dr. Doom.
I don't really follow the news, but I think Doom is like an evil king or mayor or something.
When Tiger is convincing them not to go, the jet where they are is accidentally turned on. As they approach Latveria, missiles attack them, and Nova destroys them, but they are then hit by Doombots. After defeating the Doombots, Dr. Doom appears and quickly takes down the heroes, except Spider-Man, who dodges Doom's laser blasts. Spider-Man and Nova team up to defeat Doom. Spider-Man webs Doom and flies him back to the helicarrier with the others. Upon arrival, it's revealed that Doom was actually a Doombot, which deploys 5 mini-robots. While fighting these, MJ calls Spider-Man, but he has to hang up. One Doombot damages the helicarrier's engine, causing it to lose stability, and another Doombot attacks the nuclear reactor. Spider-Man persuades Nova to use his powers to stabilize the helicarrier while the others handle the Doombots. They work together to destroy the main Doombot. Fury scolds them but acknowledges their teamwork with a smile, saying,
Never again, team.
Okay, that was cool, guys. But if anyone says group hug, I'll cry.
As they celebrate, Doom appears on a screen, warning them he's studied them for their next encounter. When Nova heads for a jet, the others try to stop him. In New York's subway, Spider-Man uses the Spider Cycle to escape an Octobot, which takes a blood sample from him. Fury instructs Spider-Man via screen to use the Electro mode on his web shooters. Spider-Man accidentally falls from the cycle, gets trapped on the railway, and uses himself as a conductor to electrocute the Octobot and dodge an incoming train. The robot is destroyed, and Spider-Man heads to school. At school, a mini-robot from the Octobot's wreckage begins to transform into a symbiote-like creature. Meanwhile, Peter arrives late, helped into school by Harry. At Harry's penthouse party, Peter's S.H.I.E.L.D. teammates discuss team dynamics, and Sam disparages Harry, leading to tension. Mary Jane advises Peter to mend things by inviting his teammates to Harry's party. At Harry's penthouse, Norman questions Harry about his frustrations, leading Harry to complain that Peter has changed since the new trainees arrived. After Norman leaves, Harry calls his friends over. When Peter and the trainees arrive, they find the whole school there, At Doc Ock's hideout, Osborn learns that Ock's symbiote-like creature has escaped and returned to Spider-Man. At the party, Peter tries to explain the situation to Harry, who acts like a rich, ungrateful, arrogant brat. When Peter's spider sense tingles, he heads to the bathroom, where he and Flash encounter the symbiote. The symbiote bonds with Flash, causing chaos at the party. Spider-Man, aided by Nova, battles the symbiote, which eventually attaches to Nova. They end up crashing through a window and land on a rooftop with the other trainees. Power Man becomes bonded with the symbiote after freeing Nova. He then knocks out Iron Fist and White Tiger. Spider-Man uses electrowebs to damage Power Man but fails to remove the symbiote. After saving party guests from a falling ventilator, Spider-Man returns to the rooftop. Iron Fist frees Power Man but soon becomes bonded with the symbiote himself. During the battle, Iron Fist throws Spider-Man off the rooftop, but MJ and Harry climb to cover the fight. Iron Fist breaks free from the symbiote, while Spider-Man offers himself to it and becomes Venom. Venom fights White Tiger and Nova, sparing Harry when he sees him with MJ. Spider-Man destroys Venom with electrowebs. Osborn and the police arrive. Harry describes Peter as his best friend. That night, Osborn praises the symbiote's success and demands a new threat. Harry finds a piece of the Venom symbiote and stores it in a bottle. Spider-Man battles the Living Laser in Times Square, causing some screen damage. The Living Laser attacks from a neon sign, but Luke Cage and the trainees rescue Spider-Man. Laser grows in size after absorbing Nova's blasts and charges at the heroes. Iron Man arrives and, with help from Nick Fury, helps contain the Laser, who is then defeated. Stark invites Spider-Man to Stark Industries, but Fury orders Spider-Man to avoid S.H.I.E.L.D. matters. At Stark Industries, Spider-Man tours the facility, marveling at inventions like robots and a teleportation machine, while imagining different realities. The tour concludes with Tony Stark giving Spider-Man a new Iron Spider armor,
You want to take it out for a spin?
which Spidey struggles to control. The next day, the S.H.I.E.L.D. trainees are annoyed by Spidey's new suit. That night, Fury sends the trainees to handle the Living Laser, leaving Spider-Man behind. Spider-Man, unable to manage the armor, crashes and damages it during the battle. Living Laser seemingly escapes, but later takes control of the suit. Iron Man, discussing Spider-Man's failures with Fury, is attacked by the possessed Spidey. Iron Man engages in a high-flying battle, using repulsor blasts before bringing Spider-Man down to the street. Laser threatens Iron Man with heating Spider-Man's suit to kill him unless Iron Man allows Laser to enter the armor. Iron Man reluctantly deactivates the firewall, but Spider-Man knocks him out and teleports into the armor, flying away. Back at the helicarrier, Spider-Man repairs his suit and tells the trainees they'll fight Laser using the armor's capabilities. At Stark Industries, Laser attempts to access top-secret files. Iron Fist and the trainees confront him. Despite being blasted by Laser, Spider-Man dodges and uses the Unibeam to counter Laser's attacks. Power Man brings down Laser, while Spider-Man uses his armor to find a security failsafe. An electric discharge that could disable Stark's brain, but Jarvis advises against using it. In the battle, Power Man and White Tiger struggle against Living Laser, who also attacks with missiles. Iron Fist protects Nova and himself by using his powers. Spider-Man confronts Laser and activates a failsafe, allowing Iron Man to expel Laser from the armor. Spider-Man suggests using a teleporting machine to banish Laser. As Iron Man lures Laser to the machine, Spider-Man hesitates but eventually turns it on, sending Laser to another dimension where he is attacked by Thor. Spider-Man later admits to Stark that he's not ready for the Iron Spider suit. At the helicarrier, Fury reveals an upgraded Iron Spider suit that can turn into a backpack. Spider-Man struggles with it, causing a mess, while Fury leaves him to clean up. Dr. Octopus uses Batroc the Leaper as a diversion to film Spider-Man. As Spider-Man is being filmed, Dr. Octopus shows the footage to the Taskmaster, who calculates Spider-Man's precise movements and is sent to go find him. As the city is convinced that Spider-Man attends Midtown High, the Taskmaster heads there. He critically injures the school's gym coach by flinging him with a spring off the football field and fills in as the substitute. When the class he feels has Spider-Man involving Danny, Harry, Flash, Ava, and Peter himself comes to him, he makes them go through an obstacle course. Every time one goes through it, he compares their results to that of Spider-Man. Each person who fulfills the requirements is to meet with him at a specific time. To protect his identity, Peter intentionally bloops the course. In the end, Danny, Harry, and Flash are chosen to meet with the coach, much to Ava's annoyance. When those chosen find themselves in trouble, Spider-Man and White Tiger go to investigate. There, Danny shows himself as Iron Fist, and thus not Spider-Man. Harry and Spider-Man are shown together, so the Taskmaster assumes Spider-Man is Flash. As Flash hides in Peter's locker, Spider-Man and White Tiger fight the Taskmaster, only to discover he can copy their abilities. As the Taskmaster, who is revealed as their gym teacher, flees to the gym, Spider-Man gets some night vision goggles in the shape of his mask, and he and White Tiger swap their gadgets to confuse the Taskmaster. By turning off the gym's lights, they manage to subdue the Taskmaster and reveal that Flash is not Spider-Man. Ava then praises Peter for abilities she initially underestimated. Mary Jane told her friends she was interviewing Spider-Man for a video competition that could get her a position at the Daily Bugle. Sam asked Peter how she got the interview. Peter shrugged his shoulders, and Harry told Mary Jane he was impressed, but asked her how she got an interview with him. She tells him she could not reveal her secrets. During the interview with Spider-Man on a rooftop, he takes her for a short ride web-slinging. She told him that it was incredible, and asks him to reveal his identity. He takes off his mask, but another mask is revealed underneath. Mary Jane then realizes Manhattan is being attacked by the Hulk. Spider-Man took her down with him, and he briefly tried to battle the Hulk, who called Spider-Man Bugman-y.
Hulk not fighting Bugman.
Bugman? Now that's just insulting.
Mary Jane dropped her camera, and Stan the janitor picked it up and told her it's not safe for her to be there. The Hulk revealed that he was not attacking Manhattan and is trying to save it from Energy Man Saib. The man he described was a supervillain named Zizzax. The two superheroes team up and barricade themselves in a subway station and fight Zizzax. Hulk emerged from the battle with Spider-Man in his arms. Mary Jane asked to interview him, but he simply stated, "Hulk hates photographers." Nick Fury arrived trying to take in the Hulk, but was told by Spider-Man that the Hulk is helping save the city. Zizzax appears to be defeated, but quickly gets up and grows in size. Spider-Man then suggests giving Zizzax so much energy that the villain explodes. The city is saved when Mary Jane uses her camera as part of the energy. Spider-Man gives Mary Jane her camera film, which he managed to save, and Hulk departs as Spider-Man's smash buddy. Since the video footage displays Spider-Man as a hero, Mary Jane doesn't win the competition, but is asked by J. Jonah Jameson to get interviewed by him. Mary Jane is happy by this, but wishes Spider-Man would have revealed his identity instead of playing a joke, and Peter tells her that she one day may find out who he really is. Peter, suffering from the flu, tries to hide his Spider-Man suit when Aunt May checks on him. Meanwhile, a villain called Dragon Man attacks New York but is quickly overpowered by a new black-suited Spider-Man, whose actions bewilder Peter. The black-suit Spider-Man's fame soars, leading to J. Jonah Jameson praising him and Flash Thompson dismantling his Spider-Man shrine. Nick Fury and the trainees discuss the new hero, with Spider-Man suspecting it's Venom. Dragon Man attacks again but is defeated by the black-suit Spider-Man. Dr. Octopus and Norman Osborn investigate the black-suit Spider-Man, suspecting a Venom connection. Harry reveals to Peter that he is the black-suit Spider-Man, seeking Norman's approval. Peter warns Harry about Venom's dangers, but Harry dismisses his concerns. Harry attempts to tell Norman, but he brushes him off rudely. Spider-Man spies on the black-suit Spider-Man when Nick contacts him accusing him of hiding something. The web-swinger lies and gives chase to the black-suit Spider-Man. However, he runs into Dragon Man, but the black-suit Spider-Man once again easily defeats him. Spider-Man watches as his replacement starts attacking innocent bystanders. Spider-Man intervenes, prompting Venom to fully take control. Venom battles Spider-Man throughout the city, becoming more dangerous and violent. Their battle eventually takes them into Oscorp, where the hero saves Norman from Venom, and they battle to the rooftop where Spider-Man smacks Venom into an electric board, shortening the symbiote out to be destroyed. Harry then comes to where Spider-Man ponders whether to reveal his secret identity, but decides against it. Later, he is giving Nick Fury the update, who still questions how much he is revealing. The web-slinger states venom is gone for good, but a small portion of it reveals itself in Harry's ear, prompting him to scream in terror. Meanwhile, Dr. Octopus sees the battle on his monitor and removes it upon hearing Norman's arrival, who states he wants it and questions the look on Otto's face, asking him if he knows something. Octavius responds with nothing. The next day, Spider-Man's flu has been cured, but the germs have affected his team, who chase him angrily. The team goes on a field trip to the Metropolitan Museum where they view a Nordic stone. Peter is uninterested in the field trip, as every time he goes on one, he is always bitten by some animal. First a goat, then a dolphin, and finally the spider that gave him his powers. When Danny reads the rock, it causes a frost giant to appear, which they are forced to fight. Due to their weaknesses as a team, they barely survive the battle, until they are saved by Thor. Using his hammer, he freezes the giant, but he breaks free, and the two battle and take him down with his hammer. Thor finds a Norn stone around the giant's neck, which touches and turns him into a frog. Now in frog form, Throg realizes Loki is responsible and recounts his origin to the team. Throg and the team travel to Asgard via Bifrost. In the city, they find its people frozen and are attacked by a horde of frost giants. In the throne world, Loki has Throg trapped in an energy ball and taunts his brother, while Odin rests in his Odin's Leap. The team is frozen by the giants, but Iron Fist is able to find the weakness in the ice and break free before battling the giants. Nova rescues Throg and recovers his hammer, but Loki is too powerful and is forced to escape. They travel to Nidavellir, the realm of the dwarves, and meet with Atri the Master Forger. They request his help to create weapons to defeat Loki. Atri refuses, saying that Thor never thanked him for Mjolnir. Spider-Man tells Throg to apologize, and he reluctantly does. Atri then gives the team weapons to fight Loki. The weapons use their shortfall as strength. White Tiger has a mystical bow that can only work when she ignores other distractions. Nova has a halberd that only works with a steady hand. Iron Fist is given a short sword, forcing him to trust his instincts, and Power Man uses an axe to harness his power. Spider-Man is given nothing but the duty to lead the team and use his banter. The weapons work, and they defeat the Frost Giants. Spider-Man and Throg confront Loki, and Spider-Man pulls a trick on him to turn Thor back to normal, which Spider-Man can't believe he fell for. Thor then easily defeats Loki, but he teleports away. Back at the museum, they are given a gift of a two-headed goat. The team allows Spider-Man to have the goat all to himself, but as he reaches out to pet it, one of the heads bites his hand. Spider-Man investigates chaos in Times Square and discovers Mesmero, using his mutant powers to control people into robbing a bank. Mesmero turns the crowd against Spider-Man, who is then attacked by Wolverine,
The mutant superhero Wolverine. He's got unbreakable everything.
mistakenly blaming him for the chaos. After freeing some controlled people, they find and web up Mesmero. Wolverine threatens him to reverse the mind control. Nick Fury arrives with agents and takes Mesmero away. Spider-Man and Wolverine argue about handling the situation but are stopped by Fury. Mesmero is seen using his power again. At school, Peter behaves abnormally. The team, except Ava, bothers him for homework, and Flash tries to steal his lunch until Coulson intervenes. In English class, Peter falls asleep and wakes up in Wolverine's apartment, now in Wolverine's body, retracting claws uncontrollably. Logan, in Peter's body, confusedly leaves class, even flirting with Mary Jane Watson, causing laughter. Peter's phone rings with Logan on the other end, revealing the body switch. Sabretooth attacks Peter in Wolverine's body, who accidentally stabs himself in the chest. Peter escapes, but is followed by Sabretooth, who is then hit by a bus, allowing Peter to escape despite stabbing himself in the leg. The team confronts Wolverine in Peter's body, who calms down after meeting Mary Jane and finding the spider suit. Confronted by Flash, Wolverine throws him to the ground and attacks him. Peter finds Wolverine with Sabretooth tracking them. They figure out the body switch, but Sabretooth plans to kill them. Wolverine in Peter's body kicks Sabretooth into a bus. Peter asks Wolverine to wear the Spider-Man costume to protect his identity. Wolverine reluctantly dons the costume, struggling with the mask and web shooters, swinging into a building. Peter, in Wolverine's body, holds Sabretooth, while Wolverine in Peter's body knocks him out. They force Mesmero to reverse the switch. Wolverine and Spider-Man reconcile on the helicarrier as Wolverine steals a Quinjet. Spider-Man heads back to school but runs out of web fluid, falling flat on the street. Batroc, during another crime, is stalked by a shadowy figure he believes is Spider-Man, and after a few near misses, Batroc surrenders, only to be mortally attacked. Peter at home receives a message from Nick Fury. When Peter went downstairs, he heard on the news about Batroc's beating as J.J. Jameson badmouths the wall crawler. Peter, who did not attack Batroc, believes that Harry Osborn attacked him in the Venom symbiote. Peter confronts Harry about Venom, but he claims he has no knowledge of the attacks. Spider-Man is still suspicious as Harry looks severely tired and stressed. Nick Fury believes Peter knows more than he does, but he refuses to say it. Instead, Spider-Man follows Harry on the Spider Cycle to Oscorp. Norman Osborn contacts Octavius and orders him to retrieve Venom. Harry confronts his father and says he needs to talk to him, but Norman says he is too busy at the moment, like he always does. Furious, Harry reveals he is Venom, much to Norman's joy. Spider-Man crashes through the window trying to save Norman when he is thrown out the window, but he is saved by Spider-Man just as his security arrives, and he thanks Spider-Man for the rescue. On the helicarrier, Nick Fury briefs the team on the search for Venom, but Peter hides the identity of the host. Nick then pulls him from the assignment, so Peter goes at it solo, as he knows the team will kill Harry if they go after him. At Oscorp, Venom attacks the building, hunting for his father. Peter, in the meantime, traps the team in the shield tunnels before going after Venom. Venom finds Norman, who tries to speak with his son, but he just attacks his father. The team eventually arrives and attacks the creature, but Spider-Man tries to protect his friend trapped by the symbiote. Venom is then blasted through the floor as Norman scorns the team for being on his property. Back at school, the team gets in Spider-Man's face on what happened while fighting Venom, saying that he has to reveal his knowledge or else lose their trust in him forever. Reluctantly, he reveals the host is Harry. The team seems indifferent to this until they are interrupted by Fury, and the team keeps the host's identity a secret. Spider-Man goes to the lab to create a kind of anti-venom as the team hunts down Venom. Venom comes to the school hunting for Spider-Man as they try to hold him at bay. Spider-Man creates the antidote and is chased by Venom to battle on the rooftop. He is then struck by lightning, freeing Harry slightly. Using this chance, he injects the anti-venom, freeing Harry. Harry was then taken to hospital where his father is at his bedside. Norman speaks with Spider-Man but sends him away, much to his confusion. Back in Octavius's lab, he gives him Harry's blood sample. The team trains at the helicarrier, but Spider-Man stops the session and says thanks to the team for trusting him, and that now he can trust them. The team then decides to use a special training program they created called Squash the Spider, in which all of the robots used for the session attack Spider-Man. Spider-Man battles Whirlwind, but is defeated. Norman Osborn berates Otto Octavius, threatening to cut his project's funding unless he captures Spider-Man by sundown. Despite being a disabled shut-in, Octavius declares he will capture Spider-Man himself, which Norman mocks. Later, Octavius, now calling himself Doctor, surprises Spider-Man by yanking him off a roller coaster. During their fight, Spider-Man dubs him Dr. Octopus,
Dr. Octopus. Catchy, huh?
which annoys Octavius. He hints at Norman's involvement without naming him, frustrating Spider-Man. The fight leads to a hall of mirrors, where Octavius finally knocks Spider-Man out. Back at his lab, Octavius proudly shows Norman his success, but then hangs up, deciding he will determine Spider-Man's fate on his own terms. Inevitably, Spider-Man wakes up to having a blade whirring in his face. Using the blade, Spidey frees himself and their rematch begins. In it, it's revealed Otto has been wearing an earpiece that allows Norman to continue talking to him, despite having gotten hung up on earlier, resulting in the former demanding that
Get out of my head! Stop tormenting me!
Spider-Man responds by telling Octavius to tell him to show himself. During the scuffle, Spider-Man attempts to contact Fury, as opposed to actually beating Otto first. He resorts to webbing the latter's lung part of his suit, causing him to collapse and gasp for air. This doesn't stop the Doctor completely, though, as he resumes his attack on Spider-Man after Nick Fury has been contacted and Norman has started the destruction of the place. When the place floods, Otto is unable to get himself to safety and simply drift further underwater. Spidey winds up saving him, but nearly drowns as a result. Back at S.H.I.E.L.D., It's revealed that the lab was too damaged for anything to be learned, and there was no trace of Otto when they arrived. However, they do have part of one of his tentacles, which Spider-Man had apparently holding on to like his life depended on it.
I'm Nova. I have a jetpack, and I don't even need it.
When New York is in a mystical sleep, Spider-Man and Iron Fist seek the help of Doctor Strange.
You can address me as Sorcerer Supreme.
The demon known as Nightmare cast a sleeping spell over New York City. Doctor Strange enlisted the help of Iron Fist. He questioned Iron Fist's choice in bringing Spider-Man with him. Doctor Strange explained to them that it was the work of Nightmare and claimed that Faith had brought Spider-Man to be with them. He takes Spider-Man and Iron Fist to the Dimension of Dreams to confront Nightmare. Doctor Strange fought against Nightmare, his horse Dreamstalker, and his army of demons, who overpowered him. Doctor Strange starts to believe that he was too weak against Nightmare and lost his magical powers. He was convinced by Spider-Man that it was just a dream, and regained his powers. And together, they sealed Nightmare in a magic box. After they defeated him, Doctor Strange thanked Iron Fist and Spider-Man and reminded them to go back to Midtown High School before anyone figured out where they had gone. Peter Parker and Luke Cage scramble to finish their science project, which won't come easy when Juggernaut is attacking the city. He finds the awesome android in Doc Connor's lab on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier in brick form. It was found by Spider-Man for Peter and Luke to use in a science fair project. Before the science fair begins, Awesome Android comes to life and starts eating everything. Phil Coulson states that it is an artificial intelligence and that it eats inorganic matter to increase its growth. Awesome Android swallowed Phil Coulson, who emerged with his clothes dissolved during Awesome Android's ingesting of him. Awesome Android then goes on to eat up much of the city. While Power Man and Nova stop the train, Spider-Man, Iron Fist, and White Tiger fight Awesome Android. The fight with Awesome Android is crashed by Juggernaut as Awesome Android stubs his toe on Juggernaut. Awesome Android then eats Juggernaut and ejects him with his clothes having been dissolved by Awesome Android. Upon absorbing some of Juggernaut's powers, Awesome Android screams at the sight of Spider-Man and tries to stomp on him. During the fight, Spider-Man and his team discover that Awesome Android contacts are too cold as it causes him to shrink. While Iron Fist tries to tap into Awesome Android's powers, Spider-Man and Power Man use Nova and White Tiger's ice-making experiment as Power Man throws Spider-Man and the science fair experiment into Awesome Android, which causes Awesome Android to be dissolved back into its harmless form. Awesome Android is then reclaimed by S.H.I.E.L.D. and his Zodiac soldiers have taken over the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier as the Zodiac capture Spider-Man. Scorpio tells Spider-Man that
Nick Fury is dead.
No!
Scorpio states that this is the beginning of Zodiac's new orders as he tries to convince Spider-Man that Nick Fury has lied to him. When Spider-Man made a comment about Scorpio's outfit making him look fat, Scorpio orders his soldiers to destroy Spider-Man. When Spider-Man falls into the helicarrier, Scorpio orders his soldiers to find Spider-Man and make sure he doesn't get off the helicarrier. While locating Nick Fury's secrets, Scorpio tells Ares to find the secrets and then set the helicarrier to self-destruct. Upon hearing Spider-Man's voice in the air vents, the Zodiac soldiers prepare to fire on the vent that Spider-Man is in as Scorpio hears him. Scorpio then orders his soldiers not to fire on the console. Scorpio then uses the Scorpio key to attack Spider-Man only for him to escape into the air vents. After learning that Spider-Man is topside, Scorpio sends the Zodiac soldiers topside. Nick Fury dives the helicarrier into the ocean as Nick Fury fights Scorpio. Upon Spider-Man confiscating the Scorpio key, Nick Fury defeats Scorpio and discovers that it is his brother, Max Fury. Scorpio escapes into the water as Nick Fury deactivates the self-destruct sequence. J. Jonah Jameson reports on the Beetle, a high-tech mercenary. Meanwhile, the team defeats Trapster with Operation Glue Stick, destroying his paste gun and trapping him. Due to this success, Nick Fury assigns them to protect Jameson on their first sanctioned S.H.I.E.L.D. operation. The Beetle plans to capture Jameson before his expose is released. Security footage shows the Beetle releasing MODOK and providing stolen tech to Dr. Doom. The team boasts about defeating the Beetle until Mary Jane Watson informs Peter of her job interview with Jameson. Despite their efforts to keep her away, Mary Jane talks her way past them. The Beetle's drones knock out the team members. Mary Jane decides to take the stairs, annoying Peter. In Jameson's office, Peter's spider sense triggers, leading him to change into Spider-Man. As Mary Jane interviews, Spider-Man battles the Beetle, who uses missiles to destroy the reception area. Using his webbing, he flings him out the window, only to be dragged behind as the Beetle uses his jetpack. Spider-Man is knocked back into the building, and the Beetle plans to blast Jameson's door, but the team arrives just in time to help. 5 against 1, he prepares to launch all his weapons. The team struggles to fight him until Spider-Man forms a plan inspired by the Trapster, using an Operation Glue Stick, which goes wrong. Nova is chased by a heat-seeking missile. The missile is aimed at the Beetle, trapping him in the realm of paper, which he destroys. When he reaches Jameson's office, he only finds Jameson on the television screen, reporting from a secret location. The team takes the Beetle away, while Spider-Man changes back into Peter. Nick Fury knocks out the Daily Bugle feed to allow Peter some peace away from Jameson's constant harassment. Peter Parker is woken by a phone call from Nova urgently asking for help. He suits up, rushes outside, trips on snow, and falls in front of the team, who were with Nova. They reveal there is no threat. They were sent to pick him up for a mission. Ordered to winter training at ICE, they disregard Nick Fury's command and use S.H.I.E.L.D.'s database to travel to a Caribbean island for a vacation. The team enjoys activities like sand sculpting and tetherball, with White Tiger winning using her acrobatic skills. When Peter retrieves a ball that lands further onto the island, he encounters a boy named Sandy. Peter and Luke sense something is off when their feet become trapped in the sand. Sandy told the group to follow him. The boys insisted on leaving him and getting off the island, but White Tiger told them that it was their obligation to help him. White Tiger tries to ask Sandy a few questions before he ran off and told them they're playing hide and seek. They encounter Sandy's older brother, Flint, and the team decides things are getting strange. They go to their jet to get off the island. However, before they could leave, they are confronted by Sandy. Sandy became mad at them because he insisted all he wanted was for someone to play with him. He then turns into sand and takes their jet. The 5 are chased off into a maze where Spider-Man discovers that S.H.I.E.L.D. had left Sandman on the island. They finally escape on the jet as a giant Sandman tries to grab them on their way to New York. Nick Fury contacts them, telling them not to land. Sandman had hitched a lift and was now on the frozen river heading towards New York. They defeat the Sandman, and he is then kept in a container that keeps moving, preventing him from reforming and escaping. The Wrecking Crew has set Manhattan as their base for collateral damage as Spider-Man, Iron Fist, Power Man, White Tiger, and Nova battle against them, resulting in a chaotic, destructive battle. Eventually, they wreck a building nearby a bank and flee the scene with an explosion as their cover. Nick Fury arrives on the helicarrier annoyed that they have caused too much damage while fighting. But Spider-Man and the team attempt to tell him their theory that the Wrecking Crew attacked for a bigger plan and not to just cause mayhem. Nick then assigns them to work undercover as damage control employees. Spider-Man meets Mac Porter, who tells Nick they'll be in good hands as they start to work. J. Jonah Jameson exclaims how Spider-Man is finally being straightened out and how they're recording it. Trying to avoid work, Spider-Man picks up a shrink ray, but accidentally shrinks Nova. The web slinger tries to convince his team to help him look for any signs or clues, but they decline. Mac Porter then announces the building near the bank is unstable, and no one is permitted inside until he says so. Spider-Man ignores his rules and heads inside, where he uncovers a hole that leads into the bank. Poking around, he discovers that all the money has been stolen until his team confronts him. Once again, Spider-Man tries to get his team to join him, but they decide to wait and play it safe, refusing to hear his theory of Mac being the true villain. That night, Spider-Man sneaks into Mac Porter's room at Damage Control headquarters using a stealth suit. There, he attempts to prove that the leader is behind the plot, but winds up short-handed. Nova uncovers himself, stating he came along to make sure Spider-Man didn't cause any more trouble. The two head to the roof when a huge crate filled with money suddenly appears before them. 4 damage control workers head up, but Spider-Man accuses them of being muscle for Mac, but they reveal themselves as the Wrecking Crew. Spider-Man connects the dots and discovers the Wrecking Crew purposely damaged the city to attract the damage control. Then, they will pose as workers and shrink the money with a shrink ray. The web-slinger turns on his stealth suit until the wrecker breaks the device, prompting Spider-Man to flee, but the wrecking crew hitchhike on the web and smash into a building. Power Man saves him, and Nova reveals he gathered the team to fight. The five severely weaken the wrecking crew while causing very minimal damage. However, the four villains regroup and attempt to destroy the damage control headquarters. Mac Porter arrives with a bulldozer that scoops up the villainous team where Spider-Man webs them up, and the leader shrinks them to a miniature size. He congratulates the five on a job well done, and reminds them Daily Bugle Communications has been filming, meaning Nick Fury saw them in action. Even so, J. Jonah Jameson believes Spider-Man the menace he thinks he is. Later, Mac Porter confronts Spider-Man about breaking into his office, but states there was no harm done. Nova finally unshrinks, and Nick Fury announces they're officially S.H.I.E.L.D. trainees again, but causes a lot of damage, which leads to Spider-Man handing Nick a device to clean up his mess, stating,
The best damage is no damage at all.
when Spider-Man finds a downed space pod, the Hulk emerges from it with a Phalanx droid attached to it. Spider-Man sends the picture of the Phalanx droid to Nick Fury, who then tells Spider-Man not to let it touch him. Spider-Man webs off the Phalanx droid after it placed some strange barb device on Hulk. Before the Phalanx droid can attack Spider-Man, it is crushed by Hulk. The barb device the Phalanx droid placed on Hulk made him sick, causing Spider-Man to help him without letting Nick Fury know about this and keep him at his house without Aunt May finding out. Hulk mentioned to Spider-Man that the Phalanx had attacked him while he was sleeping and he escaped from their ship when there were too many of them. After Spider-Man gets the device off of Hulk, he discovers that the device that was on Hulk is composed of living metal, and it sends a signal to the Phalanx alerting them where they can find Hulk. Hulk recovers, and Spider-Man tells him that they have gotten the Phalanx away from the suburbs without touching them. Spider-Man and Hulk follow a Phalanx to a warehouse where they find the Phalanx had been using Hulk's tissue to make stronger Phalanx soldiers. Spider-Man and Hulk had to attack the Phalanx with non-organic stuff. Hulk then attacks the Phalanx while heading towards the alien device that was making more Phalanxes with his smashing, just as Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. arrive. Just before picture day at Peter's school, Loki gets his revenge on Spider-Man by turning him into a pig, also known as Spider-Ham. Loki disguises himself as a hot dog vendor in order to give Spider-Man an enchanted hot dog that turns him into a Spider-Ham as payback for Spider-Man ruining his plans. Just then, Asgard's finest hunters, led by Scourge, the Executioner, arrive and chase after Spider-Ham as part of the Great Boar Hunt. Thor comes to Spider-Ham's aid and guesses that Loki had done this to him. While running, Thor tells Spider-Ham that he must keep him alive until the hunt ends at sundown. Thor throws Spider-Ham and his hammer towards Midtown High School. Thor brings Spider-Ham to Agent Coulson, Power Man, Iron Fist, White Tiger, and Nova, just as Executioner and the other hunters arrive. Spider-Ham even tries to reason with the Executioner that he is not a real pig. Agent Coulson arrives where he and Thor hold off the hunters while the others get Spider-Ham out of there. While on the helicarrier, Nick Fury helps to protect Spider-Ham when the wolves that the hunters ride on sprout wings and attack the helicarrier. While Thor, Agent Coulson, and Spider-Ham's team fight Executioner and the hunters, Spider-Ham ends up calling out Loki and fights him. Not wanting his friends to sacrifice themselves for him, Spider-Ham fights the Executioner. Before the Executioner can land the killing blow on Spider-Ham, the sun sets, ending the hunt. Spider-Ham changes back to Spider-Man and punches Loki. Trapster fights Spider-Man at school where he grabs Mary Jane Watson. Mary Jane breaks free as Trapster continues the fight with Spider-Man. 1 week ago, it was shown that Principal Coulson had established Mary Jane's play on where Trapster mistakes Flash Thompson as Spider-Man during a museum robbery. Trapster manages to use his gun to trap Peter Parker under a museum statue when he gets Flash out of the way. After getting out, Peter Parker gets out of sight and uses his web shooters to help Flash fend off Trapster, who ends up retreating. Trapster attacks Flash on opening night, causing Peter Parker to don a duplicate Spider-Man costume in order to fight Trapster. This fight is brought to the stage in the midst of the Spider-Man play. Agent Coulson had to play along to keep the audience from going into a panic. It soon gets to the part where this episode comes in where Trapster grabs Mary Jane. Mary Jane breaks free as Trapster continues the fight with Spider-Man. Spider-Man flings Trapster through the wall and traps Trapster with his own paste gun. Flash later told the audience that Peter saved the night from an actual attack from Trapster. When Flash starts singing, Trapster begs Peter to take him to jail so that he wouldn't put up with Flash's singing. Peter and Harry have game night at the Osborn penthouse, as his father had to work late and could not take them to a baseball game. Peter's spider sense goes off, and there is an explosion coming from Norman's office. When they rush to check, Peter gets trapped downstairs, telling Harry he will go for help, giving him time to change into Spider-Man. When Harry enters his father's office, he finds him being attacked by Iron Man. Spider-Man arrives and tries to stop Iron Man, who is non-responsive. He then tries to shoot him with missiles, but dodges them all. In the distraction, Norman grabs an experimental machine gun and fires at Iron Man. During then, he uses an electro glove to disrupt the armor, allowing Spider-Man to punch him, knocking his head off, much to Spider-Man horror. The armor is revealed to be empty, so he travels to Stark Industries to find out what happened. When he arrives, he finds Iron Man battling his own armors. Working with Spider-Man, he takes them all out. They discover an Octobot hacking his system, which they try to follow but escapes through a vent. The Octobot returns to Doc Ock, who uses the arc reactor technology to build his own armor. The Osborn are taken to the helicarrier for protection, where they are called into Doc Connors' lab to view his regarding a piece of the tentacle. Doc Connors explained that it was created by Dr. Otto Octavius. Osborn reveals that Octavius was a former employee that died in an accident. Doc Ock reactivated the tentacle and attacked Osborn, but it was destroyed by Iron Man. Doc Ock, in his iron octopus armor, arrives and kidnaps both the Osborns. He takes them both to his secret lab and threatens Osborn. Spider-Man arrives in his iron spider armor and rescues his friends. He then battled the iron octopus, but before he could defeat Spider-Man, Iron Man arrives and blasts Doc Ock and is defeated due to his faulty arc reactor. Norman recovers Doc Ock's body and provides him the medical treatment he needs, with plans to use him again in the future. Iron Man thanks Spider-Man and agrees to another possible team up in the future. Spider-Man and the team having a friendly training session with Captain America on board the helicarrier.
The living legend, the first Avenger, Captain America.
Steve Rogers, by the way.
He shows the young heroes how to fight, and that training and skill can beat any opponent with enough practice. When Coulson comes in to speak with Cap wearing a Captain America t-shirt, he is revealed to be his biggest fan and was shocked when he knew his name. He leaves his shield for the team to look at, stating that
It's a weapon, not a toy.
while handling Captain America's shield, Spider-Man accidentally throws it out of the window. He jumps after it as it hurtles through Iron Man's head and the city, taking out the Trapster on the way. The shield lands in the Latverian embassy, where it is found by Dr. Doom. Spider-Man is met by Captain America, who decides to try and sneak into the embassy and retrieve the shield before Dr. Doom has a chance to exploit it for his own nefarious purposes. They have to fight past lasers and a horde of Doombots, even a pack of Doom Dogs. Later, in the embassy, they learn that Doom had plans to attack various targets across the United States. Cap deactivates the Doombots using Doom's computers and goes after Doom, who is escaping in a craft on the roof. They are attacked by another pack of Doom Dogs and missiles. After a short battle, they web Doom's craft and smash it through the screen, but Cap is hit by his own shield. They land in Central Park, and Doom blasts the two heroes, who manage to dodge the attack. No longer on Latverian soil, he is forced to return the shield as a shield agent escorts him away. On the helicarrier, Coulson scolds Spider-Man for losing the shield, but when Cap asks Coulson to pass him, the shield accidentally flies out the helicarrier once more, and Spider-Man chases after it again. Spider-Man battles the Beetle in a fancy restaurant in Manhattan while his Aunt May watches. The Beetle fires a missile at her. But the full story is revealed with a flashback to the morning, during a meeting between Aunt May and Principal Coulson and secret shield handler Agent Coulson. The two hit it off, and which really annoyed Peter as his two worlds appear to be colliding. Peter is horrified when Aunt May goes on a date with his principal. Spider-Man stalks them to a restaurant and is freaked out when Coulson touches her back. Spider-Man does his best to disrupt the date by stealing food and calling him pretending to be Nick Fury. He then spills water on him and confronts Coulson in the bathroom about taking out his aunt. Things get even more complicated when the high-tech assassin, the Beetle, is out for revenge against Coulson. The Beetle fires a missile at Aunt May, but is deflected by Coulson using a tray, and the patrons escape. They battle the Beetle, who attacks with missiles, while Aunt May is escorted to safety by Coulson. Spider-Man throws a piano at the Beetle and the fight leads outside. The Beetle then sets his eyes on Coulson again, but Spider-Man intervenes. The Beetle attacks Coulson, who shows his impressive fighting technique. He then disrupts the armor with a fork and smoke bombs in the restaurant to escape. In the meantime, he kidnaps Aunt May. Using the Spider Cycle, they track the Beetle to the USS Excelsior. They battle the Beetle on the ship, but before he can fire a missile, Aunt May escapes and uses the jet engine to blast the Beetle's armor off, allowing Coulson and Spider-Man to knock him out. He was then cuffed, and the SHIELD was called to take him away. Coulson reveals that he has only the best intentions regarding his aunt. Coulson escorts May home, but with Peter's approval, they continue their date. Peter and Harry celebrate their school success in Manhattan, but Peter is called away by Power Man and Norman by Dr. Octopus, leaving Harry alone. Spider-Man joins a fight against the Frightful Four at an Oscorp warehouse, which turns out to be a trap with a horde of Octobots. After destroying the Octobots, Spider-Man is captured and taken to Dr. Octopus's lab. The team contacts Nick Fury and follows a small robot. Doc Ock extracts Spider-Man's DNA, revealing the Venom symbiote's origin and its potential to combine human and animal DNA. Spider-Man escapes, destroys Doc Ock's life support, but is shocked by Norman Osborn, who reveals his role behind the attacks and his employment of Dr. Octopus. He then tries to remove his mask, but Dr. Octopus injects Norman with a genetic sample. The team continues to follow the robot, but it moves slowly, so Nova zaps it, causing it to overload and move at increased speed. Norman transforms into a green goblin-like creature while Spider-Man is still trapped. Dr. Octopus reveals that the origin of Spider-Man was down to a genetically enhanced spider created at Oscorp. The team arrives and battles Doc Ock just in time for the Osborn transformation to complete. The goblin creature, however, breaks Doc Ock's control and attacks him, tearing his suit apart. The team tries to escape through a tunnel, but they are electrocuted by the goblin. They try to fight the creature, but he knocks them all out except Spider-Man, who holds him at bay while trying to reach Norman inside. Spider-Man then uses the gauntlet against him, sending the goblin flying into the Oscorp building. The place catches fire, and S.H.I.E.L.D. arrives to help, but the goblin gets away. The team recovers in the infirmary as Nick Fury speaks with Spider-Man, who decides to go after the goblin alone. The Green Goblin attacks Midtown High, causing Spider-Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. to escort Harry onto the helicarrier for his protection. However, the Green Goblin tracks down the helicarrier, launches an assault, and sends it crashing into the sea. As the ship sinks, Spider-Man tries to save Harry and convince him that his father has turned evil. The Green Goblin manipulates Harry into calling out the Venom symbiote and teaming up with him to destroy Spider-Man. Later, Spider-Man manages to free Harry from the symbiote and rescues him, Nick Fury, and several S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. When the ship explodes, Nova, White Tiger, Iron Fist, and Power Man are devastated, believing they've lost Spider-Man and their home. They are overjoyed when Peter Parker survives and offers his friends a place to live with him and Aunt May, creating a big, loving family. Season 2. The team lead by Spider-Man battles Dr. Octopus in his warehouse base. During the fight, they are rescued by Nick Fury and a group of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who blast Doc Ock unconscious and retrieve the suitcase. Peter is supposed to rush home just in time for Aunt May to get home. The team now lives at the Parker house, leaving no space for Peter. He went to Dr. Connors' lab for some space, where he has been upgrading his web shooters. Doc Connors had lost his arm in a previous fight with the Goblin. Doc Connors reveals that the suitcase contained genetic samples allowing for the creation of animal-human hybrids. They are attacked by Octobots, but during the fight, Doc Connors injects himself with the lizard DNA, allowing him to grow a large reptilian-like arm. They defeat the robots, but the DNA continues to mutate, transforming into the lizard. The lizard tracks down Doc Ock and tries to kill him, but Spider-Man intervenes, but he is slowly becoming more beast-like. The lizard and Spider-Man fight across the city, all the way to Doc Ock's old lab. Spider-Man uses the equipment to work on a cure. As the team arrives to battle the lizard, Spider-Man injects him with the cure, and Doc Connors returns to normal again minus his arm. The team then had to rush home for dinner, which had been prepared by Sam. Spider-Man battles Electro,
And this guy over here, that's Electro.
a costume villain with electricity-based powers. During the fight, he smashes Electro into one of the Daily Bugle's television screens, and Electro shocks him with the electric webbing. The process appears to vaporize him. When Peter returns home, the team is distracted using various electrical devices, but when the power goes out, they view a message from Electro, who has turned off all the power in the city. They rush to the spider cycle, but have no power either. Nova, using his power, pushes the team on the bike into the city, only to crash on the way. It is then up to Power Man to push the bike the rest of the way. Electro then possesses the bike, causing the power to step up and ride out of control. When they get off the bike, they are confronted by a crowd of people who blame Spider-Man for the blackout. On the bridge, Batroc the Leaper is using this as an opportunity to steal from the trapped vehicles on the bridge, but he escapes. They use a cable car to travel across the bridge, pushed by Nova, but Electro takes control, sending them crashing to the station, but they are able to jump out just a moment before. Electro takes control of a bus, but Nova and Power Man are able to stop it before it crashes. Electro arrived in his new form and zapped the team. The team battled Electro as he stole from ATMs until Nova asked him why he wasn't stealing from banks. Electro, with his new plan, attacks a nearby bank vault. He then takes over the Daily Bugle communication satellite and now appears to be everywhere. When Batroc comes out of a jewelry store, Spider-Man webs him up. The team starts to notice the more Electro divides himself, the more confused he becomes. They cause him to split into so many times that he is returned to his human form, allowing Spider-Man the opportunity to knock him out. The team then learns from the adventure and decides to have an electricity-free evening. Electro, Spider-Man, and Power Man battle the Rhino as he attacks an Oscorp facility. After a short battle, Rhino easily defeats the pair and escapes. The duo return to school just in time to see Flash Thompson bullying another student, Alex O'Hearn, as he puts him in a trash can and steals his homework. Peter helped him out of the can and offered to hang out with him sometime, but he rejected it as Alex believed he was only doing this out of pity. The Rhino's next crime is stealing from a train delivering equipment to Oscorp. During the battle, Power Man's arm is damaged and they are forced to make a retreat to a nearby Quinjet, piloted by Agent Coulson, whose team takes Power Man away for medical treatment. At school the next day, Flash discovers his car had been crushed, and out of anger begins to bully Alex again. Alex drinks the Rhino formula and mutates into the Rhino, and goes after Flash. Spider-Man tries to stop him. He goes to Flash's house, which is an abandoned gas station. Spider-Man protects Flash and fights the monster, and it is then that Flash learns the creature is Alex. Power Man arrives to help, and together they knock him out and he returns to normal. Flash tries to apologize, but it is too late, and Alex is taken into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. The team, in a training session, battles White Tiger, who suddenly becomes more aggressive. This is due to the sound of tribal drums. She attacks a restaurant and begins eating the food. The team fights her, and she finally comes to her senses. The man controlling her is revealed to be Kraven the Hunter. Now, in her feral state, the team tries to help. Spider-Man visits Agent Coulson for advice. Coulson reveals her origin. She is the daughter of the last White Tiger, a hero powered by the White Tiger amulet. The amulet allows the wearer to gain the powers of the White Tiger. After his death, she inherited the power and is forced to remain disciplined to control her wild side. The team is kidnapped and drugged. Spider-Man and White Tiger track them down and rescue them, only to be confronted by Kraven. It is revealed that Kraven killed her father to gain the amulet. Using his advanced hunting equipment, Kraven attacks. The duo tries to escape, but he cuts the amulet from his belt. Using the amulet, he takes on a bestial form and the power of the White Tiger. Kraven is led into a zoo and into an area that contains actual white tigers. Spider-Man attaches his web shooter to Kraven's back, which explodes, covering him in web. He is then attacked by White Tiger, who retrieves her amulet, reverting him back to normal. Before White Tiger can attack Kraven, Spider-Man recounts his own story of revenge after the death of Uncle Ben. Kraven, using an energy dagger, breaks his way through the webbing but is knocked out by White Tiger and Spider-Man. Spider-Man travels to New Jersey on his spider cycle to see the construction of the new Tri-Carrier. The team has been living at Aunt May's house since the helicarrier's destruction. The site is attacked by the Beetle out for revenge. He and Spider-Man fight. He escapes when Fury and backup arrive. Nick Fury teams Spider-Man up with a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and Avenger.
You know Hawkeye, I assume.
Who doesn't?
Now working together, each tries to show off their technology and skill when they hear the word of the Beetle. They raced across the city only to be attacked by a Beetle drone. They take them out only to be confronted with the real Beetle. They try to take him out but are bound together with Hawkeye's adhesive arrow. They barely dodge his missiles, but the Beetle escapes and is forced to get a cab to Jersey, much to the annoyance of the cab driver. At the construction, the Beetle is planning to destroy the Tri-Carrier. Now free from the adhesive binding them thanks to Beetle's laser, they are able to take him down, and he is taken away by S.H.I.E.L.D. After working together, the two heroes developed a grudging respect for each other, but when they high-five, Spider-Man web shooters explode, binding them together again. The Goblin returns and attacks Spider-Man as he rides his bike through the city, throwing pumpkin bombs from his Goblin glider and destroying a building. The team arrives, and Power Man helps steady the building. Peter meets with Harry and gets a ride in his limousine, but the Goblin attacks them, targeting Peter. The Goblin takes Peter to his secret lab and injects him with a version of the Venom symbiote. This new version takes over Peter's body and starts destroying the lab, impressing the Goblin, who calls it Carnage. The Carnage symbiote then goes to Harry's apartment and attacks the team. Harry confronts the creature and bonds with the symbiote, becoming Venom once more. Venom goes to the Goblin's hideout to confront his father, with Spider-Man close behind. Venom attacks his father, allowing Spider-Man to slip away and return as Peter. Peter begs Harry to give up the symbiote, and Harry rejects the creature. As the Goblin is about to attack, he begins to suspect that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But Iron Fist, dressed in Spider-Man's suit, intervenes and attacks. The lab is destroyed, and the Goblin escapes. Iron Fist returns the costume as Harry deals with his father's rejection. Spider-Man battles the criminal known as Grizzly, a man in a mechanical bear costume. After a short battle, Spider-Man throws him off a roof into a dumpster surrounded by police. When returns home, he learns that Aunt May has gone away and the team is planning a party at the house. Peter informs the team that they are being watched by S.H.I.E.L.D., so Nova and Peter go to the basement to deactivate the system. While doing so, the security system activates and turns the house into a death trap. Nova and Spider-Man battle a robot in the basement. As the party guests, led by Flash, become frustrated outside, the team battles all the traps and systems, destroying the robot on the way now, freeing Flash that informs that all the guests have left. Once outside, the house collapsed with Aunt May on her way. At that moment, 4 S.H.I.E.L.D. helicopters bring a replica house and drop it in place, and after 1 or 2 minor touches, everything is back to normal, just in time for Aunt May's return. The team trains on the Tri-Carrier against a life model decoy based on Captain America, in a hologram chamber resembling WU2. During the fight, the LMD switches to appear as Juggernaut, and the surroundings resemble Latveria. They defeat the LMD, but are met by Nick Fury, who is also a LMD. They then take out that one. Agent Coulson arrives, and Nova also thinks it's another LMD, but is stopped just in time. It was then the sirens went off when a message from J.J. Jameson comes over the system requesting for help to rescue his son, who has disappeared on a mission working on the moon. The Tri-Carrier splits and they travel to space on the Astro Carrier on a mission to the moon. The team arrives at the base, beaten there by Nova, whose suit can survive in space. The base has been wrecked with claw marks everywhere. On their investigation, they find John Jameson. He told them he blacked out before the attack. Jameson then took them to an archaeological dig where they found strange crystals. They had been placed there thousands of years ago. It is revealed that one of the stones is attached to Jameson's chest, transforming him into a wolf-like creature. The team then battles the Man-Wolf, who slowly destroys the base. They escape to their craft, but the Man-Wolf follows, not affected by the lack of oxygen or environment. The craft now destroyed, they battle the creature on the moon surface and try to reach John Jameson inside. They destroy the Godstone, but instead of reverting back to normal, he becomes a human-wolf hybrid and left in a coma. Jameson scolds Fury and the team for their failure to return his son safe and sound. Spider-Man battled Juggernaut as he tried to eat a hot dog. With no way to stop him, he attached a spider tracer to his helmet. This is a new device he developed so he can track criminals. As Juggernaut was about to attack Spider-Man, Iron Man appears and blasts him, but he just keeps running straight into a building. As it collapses, the two try to stop the fall. Spider-Man tries to use his tracer to track Juggernaut, but being a prototype, it does not work. Spider-Man goes to Stark Industries, but the employees are being attacked by robotic arms and other machines. It is revealed they were being controlled by Michael Tan, who was a disgruntled employee at Stark Industries, who was fired after Tony Stark rejected his technopathic devices. Michael swears he will get his revenge on Stark and activates his latest creation, which seemingly vaporizes him. Unknown to Stark and Spider-Man, Michael's molecules had been dispersed, and his consciousness found a new host in one of Spider-Man's spider tracers. During a second battle with the Juggernaut, the spider tracers begin to rapidly multiply, and Michael makes this fluid-like collection of spider tracers his new body. Michael, now calling himself Swarm, attacks Spider-Man and Iron Man, destroying the Hall of Armor in the process. Swarm is only defeated after the two heroes fly through the villain's mouth, and Spider-Man neutralizes the spider tracers. The team investigates the remains of something that crashed into the Hudson River. They find the Asgardian weapon known as the Destroyer. When Spider-Man touches the Norn Stone on its chest, the team is transformed into miniature, childlike versions of themselves. They were taken to the helicarrier, and tests were performed on them. Nick Fury, with no other options, was forced to put the team in daycare and monitored by Nanny Bots with Agent Coulson's face. There, they meet another little boy with snot coming out of his nose. The boy is revealed to be Loki out for revenge, but they are rescued by Thor, who had also been transformed into a child. The team escaped daycare only to be attacked by the Destroyer armor. Nick Fury orders the team to leave in a Quinjet, which is destroyed and is forced to parachute to a rooftop. Loki then possesses the Destroyer as the battle leads to a nearby toy store. They are able to retrieve the Norn Stone, and with Loki released from the armor, they transform him to a childlike form and return themselves back to normal. Spider-Man was being trained by Iron Fist on the Brooklyn Bridge to improve his fighting techniques without the aid of his web shooters. Iron Fist bests Spider-Man in every attack, until a mist covers the bridge and Iron Fist saves Spider-Man from an incoming dagger, which was so fast it almost didn't set off his spider sense. They battle a ninja, but when Spider-Man retrieves his web shooters, he attaches the assassin to a nearby truck and is dragged away. An elderly monk appeared, and Danny said thank you and goodbye and left in a limousine. Spider-Man, confused, followed his friend to an airport as see Danny get onto a Rand Industries jet. It is then he realized that Danny's family was rich. There were signs, but he had just ignored them. Spider-Man hitches a lift and ends up in the hidden city of Kunlun. He is attacked by the Scorpion, a fellow student of Kunlun Monastery, who threatens the outsider, but Danny stops the fight. They entered the monastery where Danny tells Spider-Man of his origin, of defeating Shou-Lao and gaining the Iron Fist. He only went out into the world for a year to say his goodbyes, as he was to be the new ruler of Kunlun. But he used that time to join the team to help battle for good. He now must take part in a test to prove his worthiness, but before it could begin, he is poisoned, which blinds him. Danny chooses Spider-Man as his proxy to take part in the test for him. The tests are created to test the warrior's skill as well as spirit. After a few near misses, they reach the end. The Scorpion falls victim to the last trap, believing himself the victor. Spider-Man rescues him, but the Scorpion betrays him and seizes the throne for himself. But he had really lost, and Spider-Man claimed the victor with Danny's position as leader assured. The Scorpion attacks, but is easily bested by Danny in battle. Danny now gains the powers of 2 Iron Fists. As he says goodbye to Spider-Man, the Master allows Danny to return with his friend, allowing him another year in the outside world. Spider-Man tries to give the Master a fist bump as gratitude, but is thrown out of the temple. As Spider-Man battles Batroc the Leper on the Manhattan rooftops, he is continually distracted by J.J. Jameson, who as always bad-mouthed Spidey, calling him a menace. But when he webs up Batroc, he is attacked by a mob of people who are fed up with Spider-Man. Nick Fury contacted him on his communicator, ordering him to the Tri-Carrier. S.H.I.E.L.D. planned to use the mutant criminal Mesmero to enter the Hulk mind, increasing his intelligence so he can now be a force for good. The procedure, however, went wrong, and he tries to take over the Hulk's mind. But Spider-Man jumps on and removes the device, stopping the procedure, but blacked out. When Spider-Man came to, he was in the Hulk body and struggled to handle the powerful body. He confronted Mesmero, but he fell into his cell, realizing the mutant criminal. He was then attacked by S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and a Mandroid, believing the Hulk is loose and attacking them, but he was able to escape the Tri-Carrier. Elsewhere, the Hulk woke up in Peter's body just as confused, but Aunt May ignored his antics and took him to school, where he was forced to take a test. Peter tries to contact Hulk in his body via a payphone, but he is attacked by the Thing. The pair battled, causing destruction throughout the city. White Tiger takes the Hulk in Peter's body to the roof of the school and puts him in the Spider-Man costume. The three heroes battle again, which leads them to the Brooklyn Bridge. Mesmero, in a cab trying to escape the city, used his powers to control the Thing. The Thing was freed from his control, and the Hulk grabbed Mesmero, forcing him to reverse the mind swap. Then, S.H.I.E.L.D. arrives to take down the Hulk, but he escapes, but appears to have gained a new level of control and mildly increased intelligence. On a dark and stormy night, Peter, MJ, and Harry stay behind after school to catch up in chemistry due to Peter being absent from so many classes. The only other people left are Principal Coulson and Stan the janitor. The storm knocks out the power. Stan comes to the chemistry lab to check on the students. Stan tells them of the strange noises he has been hearing at the school behind the walls at night. Principal Coulson arrives to tell the students to go home. But when they go into the hallway, all they find in the dark is one of Coulson's shoes. The noises are revealed to have been made by the lizard who raided Midtown High to steal equipment from the school, with Principal Phil Coulson in the process. Stan tells people to go for help, which gives him time to put on his Spider-Man suit. Lizard attacks Spider-Man in the dark, only for Stan the janitor to end up fending off Lizard. While in the boiling room, Spider-Man is attacked by Lizard and fights him until Lizard captures Harry Osborn as well when he gets in the way of a tech panel. Spider-Man then enters the tunnels beneath Midtown High Schools to follow Lizard into the abandoned subway tunnels until Lizard floods the tunnel and makes off with Mary Jane Watson. Spider-Man and Stan the janitor follow Lizard to the maintenance room, where Lizard has assembled a machine with Harry Osborn and Phil Coulson tied up. The machine was created to stabilize his brainwaves, allowing him to think clearly. While Spider-Man fought Lizard, Stan the janitor rescued Mary Jane from the flooding hole. Spider-Man tries to reason with Lizard until Mary Jane breaks free from him. While Stan the janitor holds off Lizard, Spider-Man works on the machine, which ends up driving the Lizard part of Dr. Connors out. Spider-Man fights Lizard until Stan the janitor tells him to go on ahead while he holds off Lizard. Stan the janitor takes out Lizard, who manages to escape. The next day, Stan the janitor assures Peter Parker that Spider-Man will one day catch Lizard and restore him to Dr. Connors. He also reveals that he knows he is Spider-Man, as he was one of the first S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and responsible for thinking of the acronym Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division. While web-slinging through New York in the rain, Spider-Man discusses his life, but gets splashed with water by a speeding taxicab. He is interrupted by another person who is also able to break the fourth wall, Deadpool. He fights a group of ninjas in an alley, continually making his own sound effects, but easily defeating his opponents, taking one of them out with a wedgie. He explained that he was on a mission where he was looking for the secret headquarters of Taskmaster. As focus returned back to Spider-Man, he wondered where everyone went at that moment. J. Jonah Loudmouth Jameson then screams that Spider-Man is a menace, and he lands in a nearby garbage truck. On the Tri-Carrier, the team battles robots in a training session led by Agent Coulson, while Spider-Man arrives smelling of garbage. In the briefing room, Deadpool tells the team about the time he defeated Dr. Doom single-handedly. Spider-Man interrupts, and it's explained that Deadpool was in the program before Spider-Man was recruited. Deadpool tells Spider-Man that Nick Fury considers him a son and claims he has proof. Spider-Man is insulted, thinking Deadpool believes he's just a copycat of his costume. Deadpool then accesses the Tri-Carrier's computer to find Agent MacGuffin who has stolen encrypted information about the secret identities of superheroes and S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. He locates Taskmaster's training camp. Spider-Man follows Deadpool on his mission to avoid the training session. They ride in Deadpool's jet, which is actually Tony Stark's stolen jet, as Deadpool left an IOU message on the runway. During the flight, Deadpool recounts his origins, claiming he was a normal baby for only a second before being attacked by ninjas, though his mental state makes it hard to believe him. Spider-Man and Deadpool are attacked by Taskmaster acolytes, an elite force personally trained by him. They use stolen S.H.I.E.L.D. jetpacks and attack the craft, battling the acolytes while falling. After dodging the missile, Deadpool reveals he is wearing a parachute as Spider-Man crashes into a tree. Deadpool and Spider-Man enter a nearby compound where Spider-Man works to keep Deadpool from killing Taskmaster students. Taskmaster tries to attack Deadpool, but fails due to Deadpool's unpredictable moves. Spider-Man manages to web up Taskmaster, as it turns out that Taskmaster actually stole the S.H.I.E.L.D. list from Deadpool, who planned to sell it for money and made up the Agent MacGuffin. Spider-Man then fights with Deadpool while evading the compound's death traps. Deadpool reveals what is thought to be his true origin, but it is impossible to confirm. He was a street kid taken in by Fury, and at first the program worked, then he realized he was being manipulated and controlled and decided to leave. Spider-Man decides that Deadpool is not a hero, but a mercenary who would do anything for money. Spider-Man then remembers that if it wasn't for Aunt May or Uncle Ben, he may have turned out the same. Spider-Man manages to defeat Deadpool in a fantasy fight, involving giant chickens and cows on a farm and a fight dressed as pirates, ending the fight with a massive morality KO. Deadpool then gets away using a stolen jetpack, though Spider-Man is able to recover the file. Spider-Man and the team battle the Goblin. The team goes on the offensive, blasting him and binding him in web, knocking off his glider, and the Goblin is taken into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. The team is shocked at how easy the takedown was, and Spider-Man's spider sense goes off as S.H.I.E.L.D. agents take Osborn away. Spider-Man then meets with Harry Osborn and tells him they have his father in custody. Back on the Tri-Carrier, Spider-Man asks Fury how they are going to help the Goblin turn back into Norman Osborn, but Fury tells him they are going to hold him on the S.H.I.E.L.D. moon base to protect the people of Earth. In a fit of desperation, Spider-Man turns to another villain in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody, Dr. Octopus, to ask for help in curing Osborn's condition. However, Octavius becomes worried when he learns the Goblin is also aboard the Tri-Carrier. Unbeknownst to S.H.I.E.L.D., Norman hid a canister containing the Venom symbiote in his mouth, and the symbiote quickly multiplies once Osborn sets it free en route to the moon base. The symbiote quickly overran the Tri-Carrier, bonding to numerous S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, including Nick Fury and Phil Coulson. Soon, Spider-Man is the only active agent left on the Tri-Carrier. As Spider-Man confronts the infected Nick Fury, the Goblin seeks his revenge on Doc Ock, ripping him out of his cell and torturing him. Spider-Man is able to use his taser webs to put down Fury, and gets into his Iron Spider armor to battle the Goblin and the rest of the symbiotes. He is able to save Octavius from their mutual enemy, and the two form a desperate alliance to stop Osborn's rampage. The Goblin, however, bonds with a symbiote and retains full consciousness. So Spider-Man has Doc Ock create an anti-venom that will destroy the symbiotes. The Goblin bursts and attacks, and Spider-Man distracts him while Octavius finishes the anti-venom. As the two fight, Octavius finishes his anti-venom and releases it throughout the Tri-Carrier. The Venom symbiotes leave their hosts, including Osborn's, revealing a fully human Norman Osborn beneath. His symbiote, still defiant, is sucked out the airlock into the cold of space. Osborn, fully cured of his condition, is placed into S.H.I.E.L.D.'s medical care. At some point later, Spider-Man let Harry know his father is cured, and that he someday might see him again. Peter and Sam are playing a space-based video game when they are interrupted by Aunt May, who tells them they need to do their homework and Peter has to take the trash out. Sam uses that moment to make a swift exit. While Peter was struggling to get a trash bag into the can, he heard a rustle and a strange squeaking sound. When he opened the nearby can, he saw two red glowing eyes. The creature leaps out, revealing itself to a talking raccoon with a giant laser gun, who threatened Peter. After a brief scuffle, they are stopped by Sam, revealing the creature is Rocket Raccoon, his old mentor and allies. Rocket told Sam they have a mission to save his old team, and he puts on his Nova armor. As they prepare to teleport away and Sam says goodbye, Peter jumps into the light and is teleported with them. Rocket Raccoon and Nova have no time to send Peter back head out on the mission as Spider-Man puts on his costume. When Rocket Raccoon's ship is pulled into the Chitauri ship, Rocket fakes surrender so that they can free the captive Guardians of the Galaxy members. Nova introduces the team in mid-battle. Peter Quill, alias the Star-Lord, half-Earthling, half-alien royalty, armed with his amazing element gun, Drax the Destroyer, loose cannon, and great fighter. Gamora is widely known as the most dangerous woman in the universe, and killer in the use of every weapon. Rocket Raccoon is like if Wolverine was a master strategist raccoon with a laser gun and rocket pack. But he is not actually a raccoon. His alien species just resemble the Earth raccoon. And Groot is a sentient alien plant who spends most of his time within a pot of soil and states, "I am Groot." After a brief battle, they take down the Chitauri troops with relative ease. The leader of the Chitauri reveals himself to be a galactic warlord known as Korvac. Afterwards, Spider-Man discovers that the Chitauri are planning to destroy the Earth as it is home to many heroes such as the Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Doctor Strange, the Hulk, Howard the Duck, and Devil Dinosaur. The Guardians plan to run the Chitauri ship into the sun while fighting the Chitauri forces. When their tactic does not work, the Guardians end up making their way towards the Dark Matter Cannon. While Nova and Spider-Man head to the Dark Matter Cannon, the Guardians fight the Chitauri and Korvac. Spider-Man is told by Rocket Raccoon to throw Groot as Korvac, much to his confusion, but he does, and Groot grows into a giant humanoid tree and begins to smash Korvac. After Korvac is defeated by Groot, Nova destroys the Dark Matter Cannon and the Chitauri ship is destroyed. Nova says his goodbye to Spider-Man, who decides to stay with his old team and sends him back to Earth, where he heads home for some sleep. At a rooftop, Spider-Man meets the other S.H.I.E.L.D. trainees to inform them of Nova leaving the team and how amazing he was in space. As he was saying this, Nova appeared behind him, mocking him. It is revealed he stayed as someone will need to protect Earth. The episode ends with two irises briefly opening up as Groot says, "I am Groot," and Spider-Man says, "He is Groot." Spider-Man, Power Man, Nick Fury, and Phil Coulson lead a S.H.I.E.L.D. mission against the Zodiac. The mission is to obtain a large golden key called the Zodiac Key that is being used by the Zodiac in their volcano-located base to create a formula that, when consumed, gives the user immense superpowers. Fury and Coulson use a large amount of explosives to open a passageway so that Spider-Man and Power Man can get through. The two heroes go into the base's surveillance room to locate the key. Spider-Man finds it and asks Power Man if he found anything else. To both of their shocks, Power Man discovers his own parents, Walter and Amanda, working on the formula. Luke recalls to Spider-Man a time when, before he joined S.H.I.E.L.D., his parents had taken him on vacation in a private jet. But it was really a mission for S.H.I.E.L.D. to escort the same formula Zodiac is making in the present. Scorpio attacked the plane and confronted Walter, while Amanda gave a confused Luke the formula and got him to escape the plane. Luke received the powers that made him Power Man just before hitting the water below, allowing him to survive the fall. But shortly afterwards, the plane mysteriously exploded in mid-air, causing everyone to think that Luke's parents were dead. Luke was soon rescued by S.H.I.E.L.D. and then joined their program. Worrying about his parents' welfare, Power Man runs off to look for them. Spider-Man goes after him to try and change his mind, but he refuses. So Spider-Man goes for the key alone. He quickly finds it, but as he takes it out of a slot, the ground around him starts to crumble. It is quickly revealed that the key is not powering the formula's creation process, but the entire base. Spider-Man goes back over to Power Man, who has found the room where his parents are. Going inside, Power Man does not reveal that he is their son to them, believing that now wasn't the proper time to tell them. As such, his parents haplessly attack them when they try to get them out of the base, as does Scorpio. Scorpio goes for the key, which Spider-Man hung around his neck with his webbing. As Scorpio fights Spider-Man, it is revealed that the key can fire energy beams from its tip. Meanwhile, Power Man continues to try to get his parents to safety, but they refuse. Scorpio then throws Power Man into a deep hole that is full of magma at the bottom. Spider-Man then reveals the truth about Luke to his parents, who start attacking Scorpio. Spider-Man gets Power Man out of the pit using the key's energy, and Power Man attacks Scorpio alone. Scorpio then takes some of the complete formula, causing extremely immense Power Man-related powers. Spider-Man then tries to get the Cage parents to safety, but they reveal that the formula causes the user to explode after a few seconds, and that Power Man needs to come to. Spider-Man and Power Man get Scorpio to fall into the magma pit, where he explodes. Power Man then reunites with his parents. Outside, Max Fury is found unharmed but depowered, and Nick Fury reunites with Luke's parents. Peter asks Luke if he is doing okay, and Luke says he's never felt better. Arcade plans to crack the codes to nuclear missiles, where he plans to cause World War III. He starts by sending a life model decoy of Nick Fury, which is defeated by Nick Fury as Arcade speaks through the life model decoy. S.H.I.E.L.D. traces Arcade's transmission to Madripoor as Spider-Man joins up with Captain America to head to Madripoor. Upon the approach to Madripoor, Arcade takes control of Captain America's plane in order to crash them. Spider-Man and Captain America bail out as they fight off Arcade's drones. Upon meeting up with Wolverine after he had defeated some ninja life model decoys, they help him when Wolverine is also hunting for Arcade. Arcade then unleashes life model decoys of Captain America, Spider-Man, and Wolverine, which the real ones defeat. Captain America and Wolverine discover that Arcade had stolen some S.H.I.E.L.D. life model decoys. After the 3 life model decoys are defeated, Arcade unleashes 3 life model decoys modeled after Hulk. Captain America and Wolverine defeat the Hulk life model decoys while Spider-Man destroys the lasers. When escaping to the next level, Arcade unleashes the Sentinels and other robots. Spider-Man reprograms the Sentinel to take out the other robots. Afterwards, Arcade is angered that Spider-Man is in his game, which he designed for Captain America and Wolverine. Arcade then unleashes a giant robot that resembles Arcade's head to attack until Spider-Man destroys the laser cannon on its head. Captain America, Spider-Man, and Wolverine then confront Arcade as Wolverine threatens him to cancel the codes. Arcade is then arrested by the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. The team waited in a cemetery for their S.H.I.E.L.D. contact, but was attacked by an army of shadow vampires working for Dracula himself. They are helped by Blade, who is revealed to be the S.H.I.E.L.D. contact. He vows to deliver an ancient, powerful magical relic into the hands of director Nick Fury at any cost. Dracula plans to obtain the pieces of the Tecamenteps Ankh and join them together so that he can't be harmed by vampire weaknesses. Dracula arrives at the Museum of Natural History after Spider-Man removes the Tecamenteps Ankh from its cloaking shield. He engages Blade and Spider-Man's team in battle, where Nova's supernova maneuver attack didn't work. He even tried to bite Power Man, only to discover his invulnerability, which resulted in Dracula using his mind control on Power Man to control him into attacking Blade and the rest of Blade's team. Dracula then mind controls the rest of Spider-Man's team, which doesn't work on Spider-Man since he had reflective lenses in his mask. Seeing as they are in the herbarium, Spider-Man activates the UV lights which harm Dracula until Spider-Man's mesmerized teammates get Dracula away from the museum. Spider-Man returns to the Tricarrier to meet with Nick Fury, who introduces him to his new team, the Howling Commandos, which consists of Werewolf by Night, Encanto, the Living Mummy, and Frankenstein's monster. After being introduced to the new team, they are interrupted by Dracula, along with Spider-Man's mesmerized team when they arrive on the helicarrier to get the Tecamenteps Ankh. Spider-Man tries to fight Dracula when he tries to grab the Ankh as Spider-Man is assisted by Frankenstein's monster. Dracula succeeds in making off with Tecamenteps Ankh as the Werewolf by Night states that Dracula will activate Tecamenteps Ankh at sunrise. Peter is still in costume and the commandos go to Aunt May's house to check if she is alright, setting up vampire traps, and Encanto casts some protection spells. Using the monster truck, Spider-Man, Blade, and the Howling Commandos head to Transylvania to confront Dracula. Spider-Man, Blade, and the Howling Commandos enter Dracula's castle, where Dracula unleashes his minions on them. They release the Man-Thing, who takes out all the shadow vampires in one go. When they confront Dracula, the Howling Commandos fight to keep Dracula from activating the Ankh, while Spider-Man frees his team. As Dracula prepares to join the pieces of Tekmentep's Ankh, Spider-Man snatches the Ankh out of Dracula's hands with the help of Frankenstein's monster as the sun rises. This causes Dracula to retreat. Nkantu took Tekmentep's Ankh for himself, which he uses to restore his body and teleport to Manhattan in giant size to deal with Nick Fury, who Nkantu claimed to have the Howling Commandos as part of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s collection of freaks, where Nkantu engages the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. With help from a giant-sized Man-Thing, Spider-Man uses Blade's sword to cut Tekmentep's Ankh from around Nkantu's neck, which regresses Nkantu back to his mummy form. Spider-Man thanks Blade and the Howling Commandos for their help and tells the team the only thing they are missing is an Invisible Man. But at that moment, his pants are pulled down to reveal Max, the Invisible Man who had been guarding Aunt May's house. While on a Nick Fury-enforced stakeout to ensure that a fully recovered Osborn doesn't revert to the Goblin, Peter, as Spider-Man, finds his archenemy in Iron Man armor, now called Iron Patriot. Suspicious, Spider-Man follows Iron Patriot to a rooftop where he begins fighting the Frightful Four. After they defeat the Frightful Four together, Spider-Man tells Iron Patriot that he's still not considered a true hero, and S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't convinced he's turned over a new leaf. During their escalating altercation, a TV screen broadcasting J. Jonah Jameson falls, and Iron Patriot catches it while Spider-Man saves the people. This starts to convince Peter, but Nick Fury orders Spider-Man to bring in Iron Patriot. When Spider-Man confronts Iron Patriot, they are attacked by Dr. Octopus's new Spider Soldier army. During the fight, it turned out that Dr. Octopus had finished Osborn's plans of a Spider Soldier army. Iron Patriot has Spider-Man get Harry, who discovers Norman's identity out of his lab. Iron Patriot catches the falling elevator that Spider-Man and Harry are on, and the Spider Soldiers are chased away. Osborn's new ego causes Harry to make amends with both his father and Spider-Man, though Nick Fury states that Osborn will still be watched, something Osborn accepts. Later, Peter and Fury play a board game seen earlier, and when Peter wins, Fury destroys all the pieces with a grenade. The Awesome Android accidentally frees Sandman, who ends up stopping the Awesome Android and putting out the fire that the Awesome Android caused. Sandman stated to Spider-Man that he just wanted to help. Nick Fury mentioned that the S.H.I.E.L.D. has been working to rehabilitate Sandman and hoping to make him a hero. Spider-Man has Nick Fury let him train him to be a hero. Sandman is outfitted into a special containment suit that limits his power by Walter and Amanda Cage. While S.H.I.E.L.D. agents observe Spider-Man's program, Spider-Man takes Sandman to battle Swarm, where Sandman's containment suit is targeted by Swarm. Spider-Man is forced to get the containment suit off of Sandman, who then pummels Swarm into submission. Sandman is brought into control and apologizes for his actions. With advice from Iron Fist, Spider-Man trains Sandman into being a man first and a Sandman second. When Batroc the Leaper is in the middle of a robbery, Sandman springs into action where he attacks Batroc the Leper. When Batroc the Leper throws garbage at Sandman, he ends up attacking Batroc the Leper as J. Jonah Jameson makes a bad comment towards Sandman. Sandman loses control of his emotions and breaks out of his suit where he attacks Spider-Man with a sandstorm attack. Nick Fury sends the rest of Spider-Man's team to help Spider-Man stop Sandman. Spider-Man denies Nova's plan to turn Sandman into glass again, as Spider-Man has a different plan. Spider-Man then tries to reason with Sandman until Nova arrives and Spider-Man throws Awesome Android into Sandman's mouth where he absorbs Sandman. When S.H.I.E.L.D. agents arrive with a new containment suit, Sandman is shot into the containment suit and taken into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. An armored Dr. Octopus and Lizard invades Rikers Island and reassembles the Sinister Six by armoring up Rhino, Electro, Kraven the Hunter, and Scorpion. The Sinister Six give Spider-Man a hard time until Norman Osborn in the Iron Patriot armor and the rest of Spider-Man's team arrives. While Spider-Man fights Lizard, Iron Patriot fights Dr. Octopus, while Spider-Man's team fights the other members of the Sinister Six. When the Sinister Six end up combining their attacks to take down Iron Patriot, Dr. Octopus plans to inject Spider-Man with the Goblin Serum. Dr. Octopus then injects Norman Osborn with the Goblin Serum, while Spider-Man restored Lizard to Dr. Kurt Connors. Norman Osborn becomes Green Goblin, where he defeats most of the Sinister Six. Though Spider-Man has won against the Sinister Six, Green Goblin gets away with the captive members of Spider-Man's team. After the Sinister Six were defeated, Dr. Kurt Connors thanked Spider-Man for saving him. Following the fight with the Sinister Six, Norman Osborn has been transformed into Green Goblin again, and has captured Spider-Man's team, who has been previously defeated by the Sinister Six. As Spider-Man finds out later, Green Goblin has transformed his friends and plans to use the old helicarrier, now dubbed the Hellcarrier, to gas New York City, and turn them all into goblins. Now Spider-Man fights alone on the helicarrier against his own team. Forced to find backup, Spider-Man flees into the city, but he is pursued by the team. He is rescued by Coulson, who drops him back on the helicarrier with a serum created by Dr. Connors that can restore goblins to human form. Dividing and conquering the team with the serum, Spider-Man changes them back by going over each of their origins as well. They confront the Goblin, who presses a button that launches gas-filled missiles, but they are destroyed by S.H.I.E.L.D. The Goblin sets off explosions that put the team in jeopardy. While the boys of the team are rescued, Spider-Man and White Tiger stay behind to fetch Osborn. Osborn sends them flying, but Nova gets White Tiger and later Spider-Man, but not before Osborn falls into the water. He is then placed in custody, now forever a goblin. Back on the Tri-Carrier, the team congratulates Spider-Man for saving them. Because of his superb bravery, he is offered a place on the Avengers. Season 3. Spider-Man hunts throughout New York for the last remnants of Venom. He finds a piece of one hanging off one of J. Jonah Jameson's screens. As he extracts the piece, he is attacked by the Scorpion, who is possessed by another piece of Venom. While fighting the venomized Scorpion, Flash Thompson appeared, wearing a Scarlet Spider costume and calling himself Scarlet Spider. Spider-Man told Flash not to be a hero and defeated Scorpion, unaware that a small piece of Venom was attached to Flash. The next day, the Beetle, under orders from Taskmaster, tracked Venom to Midtown High School and chased Flash. Spider-Man stashes Flash into a locker to protect him, but Flash wants to help. The suit activates, and Flash battles the Beetle. When Flash has him subdued, Spider-Man tries to talk Flash into giving up the suit, and the two fight until Taskmaster arrives. Venom and Spider-Man battled the Beetle and Taskmaster. Flash integrated parts of Beetle's suit, including rocket launchers and armor, and fully became Agent Venom. After the fight, Agent Venom relents that being a hero is harder than he thought, and tries to get the suit to leave him. However, the suit has found a perfect host in Flash and permanently bonded him. Spider-Man convinces Fury to take him on as a member of the team. As he reveals, his actions have encouraged other young heroes to come out of the woodwork. While Peter shows off the Iron Spider armor to his classmates at the science fair of his school for charity, his intellectual 13-year-old rival Amadeus Cho is also eyeing the suit and, after a series of events, attains and perfectly operates the Iron Spider armor, making Spider-Man even more envious of Cho, considering he never could control the armor that well to begin with. Things get worse when Amadeus targets Spider-Man for being a menace, as well as thinking that he is not a true hero while Taskmaster seeks to achieve the armor for his own villainous means. After defeating Taskmaster once again, Spider-Man lets Amadeus keep the armor after witnessing how adept he is with it, and for assisting him in the fight against Taskmaster, as well as becoming more passive towards how he views him, and invites him to become a part of his New Warriors initiative, in which he agrees. A mysterious thief known as the Vulture has been causing trouble. Spider-Man decides to track him down. Adrian was a teenager who, for unidentified reasons, was living on the streets. Along with other runaways, he was kidnapped by Dr. Octopus to use as a test subject in his transhuman experiments. Adrian's DNA was merged with that of a vulture, and his memories were erased. After several months in suspended animation, Adrian woke. Desperate to regain his lost past, the boy followed his only clue, a plaque containing Oscorp's logo. His bouts of anxiety would cause a more animalistic side to surface, during which he would scavenge New York. Vulture's assaults on Manhattan eventually caught the attention of S.H.I.E.L.D., who sent Spider-Man to hunt him down. Upon finding Vulture's hideaway, Spider-Man recognized Doc Ock's technology and reasoned that Vulture must be one of the mad scientist's victims. The teen hero agreed to help Vulture recover his memories by meeting with the imprisoned Dr. Octopus. Unfortunately, the villain revealed that Vulture's memories were erased to implant a trigger phrase, Carrion Bird. Vulture went berserk and destroyed Dr. Octopus's cell. Spider-Man followed them and was attacked by both. He reminded him who his enemy was by asking him who did this to him, making him attack Doc Ock. When he learned his creator's files about him had been downloaded, Vulture almost killed Doc Ock, but Spider-Man interfered. He asked him why he would defend a monster like Octopus. He responded that because he was the good guy, succeeded in calming Vulture down, and offered him a place a shield Vulture refused, wanting to find his own path, but soon crossed paths with Taskmaster, who sought to recruit various superpowered teenagers and had downloaded Ock's files about him. He called the teen by his name, Adrian, and promised answers. Spider-Man and Spider-Girl are interrupted by J. Jonah Jameson, who blames Spider-Girl for recent troubles. Spider-Girl, disheartened, questions why she bothers saving the city if she's still blamed. Spider-Man advises her not to let Jameson affect her, hinting at the danger she's in. Spider-Girl jokes about the timing and doubts Spider-Man's ability to help, but Spider-Man convinces her by quoting, "With great power comes great responsibility." They both reveal their identities as Peter Parker and Petra Parker and discuss their similar appearances. Spider-Man warns that his Green Goblin is after her, while Spider-Girl identifies her own Green Goblin as a major enemy. Norma Osborn is confronted and subdued by Green Goblin, who ominously reveals they need to talk. Spider-Man and Spider-Girl head to Oscorp, where Spider-Man warns that his Green Goblin is dangerous, but Spider-Girl dismisses the concern, believing him to be less formidable than her own Green Goblin. They encounter their Green Goblins, with Spider-Man noting that his Green Goblin is a traditional goblin, while Spider-Girl's is more monstrous. The male Green Goblin taunts about being both man and monster, and both villains launch pumpkin bombs. Spider-Girl insists on handling Spider-Man's Green Goblin, while Spider-Man focuses on her Green Goblin. The male Green Goblin is knocked off his glider but uses a gadget to capture Spider-Girl and collect her DNA, while the female Green Goblin receives a vial of serum. The female Green Goblin then decides to kill both Spider-Girl and Spider-Man, insulting Spider-Man in the process. She shocks Spider-Man, who is saved by Spider-Girl. Despite being initially overwhelmed, Spider-Girl and Spider-Man strategize, with Spider-Man pointing out Green Goblin's predictable attacks. They dodge missiles, and Spider-Man uses an electric gadget to shock the female Green Goblin, giving Spider-Girl the chance to strike back. While Spider-Man's Green Goblin escapes to the next dimension, the female Green Goblin continues chasing Spider-Man and Girl by throwing pumpkin bombs at them, which makes them head to Washington Bridge. The female Green Goblin throws another pumpkin bomb, but Spider-Man throws it away. Spider-Girl tells him to distract her while she goes for the big knockout, which Spider-Man agrees with. The female Green Goblin shoots electric blasts at him, but he dodges and taunts her about not being close. This gives Spider-Girl time to shoot her off her glider, and she and her counterpart webs her up. Spider-Girl taunts her about getting all the tech and power upgrades she wants, but she'll never beat her and her amazing friend, with Spider-Man glad that he wasn't called a sidekick. The female Green Goblin tells Spider-Girl that she's doomed and breaks free before shooting an electric blast at her, which causes her to fall, but Spider-Man defeats her Green Goblin. While falling, Spider-Girl finds that she has run out of web fluid, but Spider-Man saves her and brings her back onto the bridge. Spider-Girl is surprised that she got saved by a boy and that she will never live it down. Spider-Man tells her that it doesn't bother him anymore and reveals that her Green Goblin is down, but his Green Goblin is still on the loose. Spider-Girl states her wish for him to stay and help, but he tells her that she doesn't, except for the falling off the bridge moment. It may be hard being Spidey, but she's in control, and that she helped defeat her Green Goblin. Spider-Girl is happy about it feeling good and finally admits that it feels good, knowing that there's another version of herself fighting every day, which makes her want to keep fighting too. Spider-Man admits it as well and thanks her before he leaves for the next universe. Spider-Man enters a black and white world where he sees a police chase through the city and decides to investigate. He spots Goblin leading the chase and then sees Spider-Man Noir involved. Initially, he thinks the Goblin is someone in a costume, but he quickly realizes the threat is real. During the car chase, Spider-Man and Spider-Man Noir briefly scuffle with the Goblin, who blasts Spider-Man away. Spider-Man Noir rescues him, and they team up to continue the pursuit. When Peter tries to explain the situation to Spider-Man Noir and offers his help to stop the Goblin, Spider-Man Noir shrugs him off, saying, "I work alone," and leaves. Spider-Man Noir finds the Goblin on the Washington State Bridge, and the two resume their fight. Just as the Goblin is about to get his data, Spider-Man jumps in and saves Spider-Man Noir. Together, they web up the Goblin, causing him to crash into the river. Spider-Man Noir thinks that's the last of him, but Peter says, "Nope, the Goblin is a whiz at disappearing acts." When the Goblin disappears just as quickly, Spider-Man Noir replies, "Goblin has some competition." Spider-Man Noir returns to his home, surprised to find Spider-Man already there. He asks who Spider-Man is, and Spider-Man replies, "Let's just say I'm not from around here. Or better yet, this universe." Annoyed, Spider-Man Noir overpowers him and removes his mask, only to be shocked to see his own face. Peter asks if he looks familiar, and Noir removes his mask, revealing that he is an older version of Peter Parker. Surprised by this revelation, Spider-Man notes the oddity. Peter tries to explain again that he is from another universe, and Spider-Man Noir responds, "Ever since some exotic spider bit me, my life hasn't been anything but weird." He explains that despite not wanting the job, he wears the mask because if he didn't, the city would drown in its own evil and the weak would perish. As Spider-Man continues chasing Green Goblin across the multiverse, he lands in a medieval-based world where he helps Spider-Knight take down the Alchemist, the medieval version of Dr. Octopus, and his Kraken creation to save York. Then, his last stop before heading back home is an alternate version of the Ultimate Universe where he helps Miles Morales overcome the guilt of being unable to save his world's Peter Parker from death and fight the Ultimate Green Goblin. Spider-Man finally ends up back in his own universe and finds Green Goblin has injected himself with the Spider-Man DNA from all the universes to become the Spider-Goblin. With Electro's help from the Siege Perilous, he summons all the Spider-Men dubbed Web Warriors to battle the Spider-Goblin and save New York even when Electro plans to destroy it. After both are defeated and the alternate Spider-Men return to their homes, the Green Goblin reverts into Norman Osborn and ends up suffering amnesia, making him forget his time as the Green Goblin as well as Spider-Man's identity. Season 4. After Spider-Man, Iron Spider, and Agent Venom defeat Dr. Octopus, they take him to be imprisoned at the Tri-Carrier, where Dr. Octopus uses one of his miniature Octobots to hack into Swarm's nanites, where it starts rebuilding the Tri-Carrier as Hydra Island. This was all part of Dr. Octopus's partnership with the recently freed Arnim Zola, that also includes Goblin Formula-enhanced Hydra agents. Ock also receives an upgrade to his armor, gaining a much more sinister appearance. Spider-Man is saved by an unknown spider from falling into the sea. Upon being saved by the mysterious Scarlet Spider, Spider-Man rallies Iron Spider and Agent Venom to fight Hydra, now allied with two sixes of the new Sinister Six, Doc Ock and Kraven the Hunter. Ock attempts to turn Norman Osborn back into the Green Goblin, but fails as Norman has immunized himself with a formula to counteract any further transformations back into his insane alter ego. Given the antidote, the Spider-Men start reverting the Hydra Goblins back to normal. As they cannot get Zola's consciousness out of Hydra Island, Iron Spider programs the engines to take the vessel deep into space, where Zola will never be able to bother them again. Meanwhile, Ock escapes with Kraven to continue rebuilding the Sinister Six. Agents Leo Fitz and Gemma Simmons were called in by S.H.I.E.L.D. to assist in repairs and upgrades for the Triskelion base. During a training session for the S.H.I.E.L.D. trainees, one of the robots malfunctioned and attacked Spider-Man with lethal force. The attack ended when Rhino bashed it. Fitz later tries to examine the remains, but its central processor has been destroyed by Rhino's attack. Spider-Man and Iron Spider later questioned the two scientists about the malfunction and suggested possible sabotage. They explained that the robots were moved directly to the training area from the SHIELD factory by the students and calibrated by Dr. Kurt Connors. After Dr. Connors was turned back into the lizard and began infecting everyone he could sink his teeth into, Fitz and Simmons escaped through the floor vents and met with Spider-Man and Iron Spider, who had one vial of lizard cure. They attempted to synthesize the cure for mass distribution, but the infected lizards broke in via Cloak's teleportation and damaged the equipment before infecting them as well. The pair was eventually cured, along with everyone else in the building, when Spider-Man used their aerosol dispersal unit to pump the cure throughout the ventilation system. Still convinced that Dr. Connors was the mole, the Web Warriors attempt to apprehend him, ignoring Spider-Man's orders to stand down. However, it is soon discovered that Rhino was the real mole within the Academy and was responsible for Dr. Connors' transformation. The Web Warriors apologized to Spider-Man for doubting him. After Dr. Octopus and Rhino escaped the Triskelion with Agent Venom in their clutches, Spider-Man and Scarlet Spider tracked them to the recently returned Hydra Island as Dr. Octopus and Arnim Zola worked to separate the Venom symbiote from Flash Thompson. In order to get to Flash, Spider-Man and Scarlet Spider have to fight their way past Kraven the Hunter and the Hydra agents. Ock manages to succeed in separating the symbiote from Flash, giving it to Kraven, who becomes a lion-like Venom. However, Flash is able to coerce the symbiote back to him as they understand each other. As a result of the refusion, Agent Venom gains a new look. Spider-Ham, Spider-Knight, and Miles Morales' mother Rio suddenly appear at Peter Parker's house. Upon being brought to Kunlun by Iron Fist, Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid meet with Nick Fury, Doctor Strange, and Madame Web, who states that the shattering of the Siege Perilous scattered its fragments to many dimensions, and if they are not collected in time, many universes will crash onto another, and eventually all of the universes would be destroyed. Using the shard of the Siege Perilous, Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid are sent on a trip to the different dimensions to collect the shards. Their first stop is a Victorian-era-themed world that's currently infected with vampires. Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid must help the vampire-hunting superhero Blood Spider get the first shard from the Lizard King, a Victorian version of the lizard, and his most trusted Hunter Wolf. The Lizard King plans to use the Siege Perilous shard to block the sun so the vampires can rule the Earth. Although Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid are able to save the day and revert all the vampires back to normal, they find out that Wolf is a spider-based villain himself called Wolf Spider, and is from a different parallel world. Wolf Spider is collecting the shards in order to rule the multiverse, and he knows Spider-Man's identity as Peter Parker. Now that Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid have to contend with Wolf Spider to get to the Siege Perilous fragments, they work to find them before Wolf Spider does. Their next stop is a cartoon-like pirate dimension where the spider-themed pirate Webbeard is persuaded by Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid into reuniting his animal crew, consisting of pirate versions of Howard the Duck, Rocket Raccoon, and Cosmo the Space Dog, so that they can face the Kraken on a pirate ship version of Groot. Then Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid arrive in a Wild West dimension where they meet the spider-themed cowboy Webslinger who lost his Uncle Ben, who was a sheriff when Doc Ock Holliday took over the town. Now they help Webslinger build up the courage to fight corrupt Sheriff Doc Ock Holliday and his deputy Phantom Rider, who previously repelled Wolf Spider. Returning to the noir reality, Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid tangle with Mr. Fix-It is a noir version of the Hulk and his minions Thunderbolt and A-Bombardier, who are in a gang war with the noir version of Hammerhead. When Spider-Man Noir shows up, he doesn't want Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid to break up the gang war because since they last saw him, he lost his Mary Jane in an accident caused by Hammerhead's gang, for which he blames Mr. Fix-It. Spider-Man finds the Siege Perilous fragment in the persuade Spider-Man Noir and Noir Mr. Fix-It to work together to help defeat Mr. Negative. Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid return to Kid Arachnid's reality where he meets a spider-powered version of Gwen Stacy, who has been covering for Kid Arachnid with the help of this world's Aunt May while evading the robots working for Police Captain George Stacy. When Wolf Spider gets involved by holding Rio Morales hostage, Spider-Man, Kid Arachnid, and Spider-Woman work to stop Wolf Spider. They discover that he is an evil Peter Parker working to drain the energies of every Spider character. Following Wolf Spider's defeat, George Stacy learns his daughter's secret upon talking to Rio. In the aftermath of the Siege Perilous' reassembly, Kid Arachnid and Rio emigrate to Spider-Man's reality. While out with Mary Jane Watson in Central Park, Peter Parker finds a Spider-Man clone that tries to feed off them. They trace the clone to one of Dr. Octopus's labs. There, they find info on Project Caney, which was a combination of Spider-Man's DNA and the Synthezoids. Mary Jane uses the Carnage symbiote inside her, becoming Spider-Woman. Upon Scarlet Spider resurfacing and helping to take down the deformed Caney, Spider-Man and Spider-Woman find that he is wanting to know his history while planning to get revenge on Dr. Octopus and wanting to learn about his past. Because Arnim Zola stole Dr. Octopus's research, Scarlet Spider and Spider-Man have Dr. Octopus take him to the sunken Hydra Island, where Scarlet Spider wants the information of his past, which was also stolen. Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus, and Scarlet Spider fight the Delta-9 Synthezoids, a Spider Slayer team of Spider-Man Synthezoids hybrids consisting of Bone Spider, Goliath Spider, and Ghost Spider. The Delta-9 Synthezoids are part of Arnim Zola's Weapon S program that Scarlet Spider was created as part of. Later, Arnim Zola reawakens. Meanwhile, Mary Jane rounds up Agent Venom, Iron Spider, and Kid Arachnid to meet up with Spider-Man to show her transformation as Spider-Woman. Scarlet Spider is revealed to be a spider synthezoid with too much Spider-Man DNA. At the same time, Dr. Octopus uses another nanotechnology upgrade that not only changes to another appearance, but also improves his whole body completely. Following the fight against Arnim Zola, Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Agent Venom, Iron Spider, and Kid Arachnid bring Scarlet Spider and the Delta-9 Synthezoids back to the Triskelion, where they have to get Nova, Power Man, Iron Fist, and Squirrel Girl to stand down due to what happened when they know Scarlet Spider worked for Dr. Octopus, revealed Spider-Man's identity, to endanger S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy and Aunt May being all against him and be locked up for life. When a security breach places the Triskelion in lockdown and starts draining the energies of its inhabitants enough to leave them with coma-like symptoms, they find that a reassembled Caney is responsible as he targets the spider-based characters. When Caney gets control of the Delta-9 Synthezoids, Spider-Man and the other spider-based heroes defeat Caney after he combines with the Delta-9 Synthezoids to form a hybrid form. As Peter Parker prepares to graduate from S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy, he is visited by Dr. Octopus, who threatens to harm Aunt May if he puts on the Spider-Man costume again. Spider-Man refuses to agree and puts Aunt May in protective S.H.I.E.L.D. custody to capture Dr. Octopus with the help of his team of Web Warriors and New Warriors. After rounding up Kraven the Hunter, the Rhino, the Scorpion, and the Vulture, as well as turning Crossbones into a lizard, Dr. Octopus allows himself to be incarcerated in the Triskelion security brig by Spider-Man's team. The graduation ceremony was attended by the Avengers, Doctor Strange, Sandman, Nick Fury, Power Man's parents, Patrioteer, and Ant-Man. As he ends up breaking out while Spider-Man brings Aunt May to the graduation, Dr. Octopus and his new Sinister Six break free as he ensnares Aunt May. Spider-Man reluctantly injects himself with a serum to cure him of his powers in order to keep Aunt May safe. Dr. Octopus then takes control of the Triskelion, where he places a contracting force field around the graduation ceremony. The contracting force field is starting to close in on the graduation attendees. Desperate to stop the superior Sinister Six and getting a pep talk from Aunt May, Spider-Man gets his original web shooters back from Aunt May and heads to Oscorp. With the help of Norman Osborn, Spider-Man is able to regain his powers with the radioactive spider in Dr. Octopus's hidden lab and confront the superior Sinister Six when they arrive at Oscorp upon noticing that Norman Osborn wasn't there. As Dr. Octopus terrorizes the city, Spider-Man uses the same serum on Vulture, Crossbones, and Rhino to depower them while also defeating Kraven the Hunter and Scorpion. Dr. Octopus then uses an octopus formula that turns himself into a mindless giant octopus-like creature. Using the serum, Spider-Man turns Dr. Octopus back to normal, who tells Spider-Man that even he doesn't know how to get rid of the contracting force field. Dr. Octopus cooperates with Spider-Man to deactivate the contracting force field. Afterwards, Dr. Octopus is taken away by Iron Man. Following the graduation ceremony, Agent Venom and Scarlet Spider become S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy teachers. Alex O'Hearn, Adrian Toomes, and Francis Beck enroll as students along with Mary Jane, and Nick Fury tells Spider-Man that he has become the ultimate Spider-Man after he stops Trapster mirroring their encounter in the first episode. Peter Parker reminisces on his more inexperienced days as Spider-Man and how far he has come as Spider-Man and goes out to stop a robbery in the East Village, incited by his Aunt May when moving into an apartment, saying, "This is not the end, only the beginning." So that will be it from us. If you enjoyed the video, let us know which character was your favorite. Also, do not forget to leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for similar content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the next one.